Sad motherfucker. Where's some? Dirty. This motherfucker did the dirty bird. This motherfucker did the dirty bird. You know what the dirty bird is? It's the band that you do. Who's the guy? What's up? Do you hope this person dies in a fiery accident? You shut the fuck up. Why? Sing the song. It's called the Beefy song. It goes like this. Beefy. I'm a beefy, baby. God damn it, motherfuckers up. What up, baby? You wanna fuck? Time to fuck. What's that? Okay, you can do this one. You get you get so drunk, you start crying. So that means to get drunk. So, how you doing to get drunk? Of all time. Yo, she knows. Yo, look at this move. No, look at this. You just stabbed out too early. No, if I did, I don't give a fuck. Nobody knows what time it is. She know how to play it. Maybe something will make this go viral because enough about you and I sit on tigers. If I do it, bro, I fucking do. Yes, I have a lot of questions. No, how dare you? That's why I really need oh my god. Really? Really? How does that show strong? To be honest, I didn't look at that much picture strong. Something Nico and Tyshawn. Oh, that's already sleeping. That's already sleeping. That's already sleeping. Who else? Single. Yeah, it's the last time question. This is that's my birthday. But you have a shit real fucking. Even better. Oh, dude, I got signatures not playing. Yeah. Play on. You're so gangster. Throw this ball. Where's CJ Stroud? Get CJ Stroud the ball. CJ Stroud, throw the ball. No. Fuck this kid. All the guys have spouses, you know, look at them.
And the pinball championship is taking place this weekend in Riverside. The Riverside Convention Center is hosting the It Never Rains in Southern California tournament series, featuring competitive pinball fan games. The event includes the Open International Poker Pinball Association World Championship, as well as the world's largest pinball tournament. The tournament is run through Sunday and offers both competitive play and free play on pinball machines. Single day passes are free for kids and $50 for adults, with multi-day ticket packages available. And now we're going to head to Oceanside. Traffic is extreme in the past 5405 community road. From 405 is still there where the 3.5 years. That's the big problem, but the reason one people with the 405 north and southbound. Very heavy, green sunset on the path. And down the bend, essentially westbound for Glen, that is going from the Portage. That's 17 west and Portage Range Road. Southward to 17 northbound for Spanish Stream. That's going from the 2 right lanes over the Flatbush Road to North South. So in time, the same looks over there again for Randy Taylor. At the monitoring center, if you've been delivering wholesale or non-monitoring rates for Rabbi jerky commercial over 12 years, you've been known. Get monthly monitoring rates at cost as low as 23 cents per day. Peace of mind is never been so inexpensive. But your luck and power calling the best of the service is limited. If you use it, call the monitoring center today for the 6-month free. Terms and conditions incomplete updated treatment for recovery to radio and Southern weather from California. Lows in the 40s tonight, other times in 21 today. Highs around 60 with the beaches and Innocent related to the valleys and mountains by tomorrow. Highs upper 30s and 40s, winds by Desert. Right now, sodium temperature around 59, right now 57 degrees. Heat is also back in the sunshine, 25 new heat index overnight. Are you looking to sell your home quickly or easily without having to deal with repairs or to worry about countertop? The Root Auto Support Line. Call Cars today for thousands of satisfied customers. They are the go-to choice for homeowners looking to sell their home fast. There is no home for a competitive cash offer, and they can close in just days. We fix the month. No repairs are needed because they buy a home as is. They have an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and with the most 5-star reviews on Google and Yelp. It's no wonder why thousands of sellers have chosen Sellers Advantage. Sellers Advantage is the fastest and most stress-free way to sell your home. If you're ready to sell your home, let Sellers Advantage. Get a no obligation offer at 888-321-FAST-GROWTH. 888-321-FAST-GROWTH. 888-321-2747. SellersAdvantage.com. You know, even reserve and no-trip benefits by there. So you can find out about all the reviews with your time. All you have to do is go to likeforlike. It's easy to see on the top. And the top of your picture, you can relax and checkout. As easy as visit provider.com to get a roofing offer today and find him Julian Driver. The Junior Gentle will be weeknight 4:30 with westbound 91 Monday through Wednesday and west garage in Tacoma, westbound 91 Southridge and Green River Road in Portland, Owens and Forest. Visit oceansmartgroup.org/7191 hold. Absolutely limited time contest.
About 40 seconds left in the half. This is the start of what's going to be a fun weekend, but still early. We've got the Texans winning here so far with a half to go. And then keeps all the hits at home. Playoff implications there. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Playoff picture for the next 2 all that comes with in week 18 of the regular season, which obviously the best time of year. New season, they call the timeout for 52-yard drive.
Every time you order food in times there is a teacher, a fashion, or whether it's grocery, retail brand is a cleaning, careful that causes you to hit a side, and ultimately the entertainment industry as a booking agent for talent, modeling talent, modeling agency. After years of building and modeling your portfolio with books and plays and the like, and all keeping your passion for fashion alive, in 2015 she started Urban Dragonfly Design Jewelry. Then in 2019 she rebranded to Dragonfly Her because of the passion she received from women interested in her reposting as well. Which leads us here. But yes, to our very first small business Saturday spotlight of the year. Miss Angie, please just tell us what you have today.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm honored, appreciative, and I'm just blessed, to be here and, hit the ground, with you and all that good stuff.
Honor is truly mine. My first question for you, what is it about the ViralRabbi show? We have the pleasure of interviewing two fashion industry giants with SpongeBob founder Matt Rodin and Paul Dillon, founder of selfie. And one thing that we've done from talking to them is an understanding of how hard it is to actually start out a clothing company. Tell me, how hard was it for you, and what were some of the challenges you faced when starting up Dragonfly Her?
Let's see, the biggest challenge for me was to actually just find your voice. Because, being an entrepreneur, you're pretty much finding what you need for your business, be it, anything from the marketing to business cards, flyers, things of that nature. And then when you merchandise or when your customer base and building your customer base, I would say financially wise in the beginning it was hard. Because for me, I didn't want to work another job. I didn't want to, I just wanted to work for a month. I didn't want to have to get another job to fund, my business. So I just looked for a lot of grants out there. And so I was able to get a grant. I was able to get that license last year. But in the meantime, it's like I was just doing that. So I still needed, to have that extra income to do what I needed to do. So I just kept doing it. And, even though I feel like I didn't really make any money, but I just kept doing it. So
That's exactly right.
I did start out there and, just did a regular 9 to 5, to
That's
support
very
my
good.
business. And I looked for grants. I still look for those business grants to implement, but being a minority and I wouldn't say minority, being just a newbie, being a rookie in this market, for me, it was hard to find that disposable income, those grants to help for me, it was very tricky. So I did what I had to do. And, like I said, I had to get my second job, then I had to get my second job. So I made do. I definitely made do.
With all of that said, what is at this point in your career, at this point in Dragonfly Her, what is your greatest success thus far?
I would say the greatest success for me would just be just saying that I'm still doing it. I just love to I love to keep the brand going, and I like to switch up my business. I like to switch up things to keep my creative juices going, so I can always have a fresh intake. For me, every 6 months I do something fresh just to keep the fire, under the lit, to keep cooking and to keep going.
With that in mind, explain to the current Dragon Saturday family what exactly is Dragonfly Her. If you can give us a visual picture of what Dragonfly Her looks like.
Dragonfly Her is for a woman who is not to stand up. stand up and no matter where you go. Let's say if you're going to a family barbecue or movie premiere with your man or anything, no matter where you're going, just a woman cannot have to stand up. It's just uncomfortable with society and have to take a picture. When you go into the world, you want to put your best foot forward and love yourself. And yeah, so if it's a woman who just loves the glamorous flair and the excitement of life, yes, so we'll stand and offer it and we offer it. And I feel like that's what I would offer to girls out and they love to, sport my body and feel like I am.
John, that's good advice. Now, what if the hotel is not a brick and mortar store, so to speak? It is primarily online. How would you notify your customer base finding online?
Well, everywhere now, pretty much every social media platform there is. Twitter, aka Social Media with myself, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So I'm everywhere. Everybody check me out on all my social media platforms. Glamour Icon spelled GLAMOURASCHILD. And of course my website, www.glamouricon.bizpartners.com.
Customer submit purchases and some of the different options live with your clients, correct?
Exactly. They can go to the website or they can even go to my Instagram. My Instagram is taken care of. I'm on there daily with personal content and letting people know what's going on with them that I have on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. So yeah, check out the website, and also on the website, I do have a icon where anyone can go and they will ask you to can check out the website first. You can always go to my website and do purchase and they continue and further packages. Or you can, of course, DM me on, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
What advice would you have for someone who is looking to get into the fashion industry as a designer, as a business owner? What's advice that you have for the next community?
To just, I would say always keep your creative juices flowing. And what I mean by that is, when you go out when you go out into the world, you never know what tweet that can possibly spark something, out of you. Okay, let's say if I go out now and I see a flower, then it could be just a beautiful, vibrant color that I might look to see and it'll spark something. So I'm like, next time I go to my vendor store, I'm gonna try to find a color like that. So just by being creative, doing things that bring that out into your space. It could be open source as a key. It could be open to music. It could be anything. It could be going to the museum. Just something that will keep your attention and keep the energy in you. Keep that, keep that fire, in you. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for starting your path to the new year with a small business starter was solutions today. Really important and many of us are learning about building business and increasing your perspective after learning more about everything today. I thank you for submitting to Small Business Saturday. I truly appreciate that and testing your brand with our brand. And as we mentioned, you need absolutely nothing but success and growth in this new year. Thank you, Amy.
Oh my goodness, thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for the kind words. And this is your tip to promote you. You're really kind and so informative. And your kindness comes from just good heart. Yes, so thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much for answering my today.
And that's it here. Here to Creative Advisor Community Talk Radio. Here at 45 News Room with Cosby Garza. National Life Partners, and happy 25th anniversary and 20th
has changed. They said at some point as they trim at this point, by 8, they're going to have to get you some intensive stupid for the crash out. Saying that on Saturday, not really a great situation where the Steelers were going to have the ball, but Ryan Clark's squad gets this message wrong, and they try to pass like
$1.6 million project with Metro Freelance to be filmed, super studios, and as soon as you complete it, they'll do it for very quickly. And typical escape content brief and continue to trip through the Middle East, but they stop and brief. Closing met with the brief prime minister in speech to discuss a number of ongoing conflicts, including Israel's ongoing war with Hamas and the Gaza and the Gaza Strip. We take a look at each week. We'll take a look at each one of them. And also, I know you can be playing that. You know, I'm not going to take any players. But I can't do it. I'm going to do it. Playing, and this and this and this. You know, I can do it. So this app is really demonstrating important tools. And so, this is what you can activate on the screen. You can do it on the screen. You can exactly the evidence we know that it's like,
complicated. It starts moving like
into
a
the greatest speaking for our public health. And
Did you know the answer to this one? Can you tell us about the
But
scenario
not
of
the
that?
same. Here's the most family today. You can save up to 50% on select messages. Plus, feel free recommendations on purchases. Here's the photo shop in 2025. So that message matters. And not just from the followers. This is what is sponsored by Not Just Friends. And Not Just Friends. Here's the most family today. You can save up to 50% on select messages. Plus, feel free recommendations on purchases. Here's the photo shop in 2025. So that message matters. And not just from the followers.
reaction from one on the YouTube retail
Eyes around
I've actually jammed your the original
very toxic. It's constantly rain and the number of earthquakes in the road. More time than we have been up in just a very fast too, from the end of the big rock. And the long outbreak that seems to come together at one point, generally speaking, that it's leading up to a point on both seasons. So, first, second time for the more time before fire comes down to clear the air from the back up in the winter time. And the next Los Angeles, the 1.4 the real traffic is so slow from Venezuela into the past, and from Boston into the collectively between Sunset and the Valley, moderate flow. So the time is done, let's get more real content and maybe further. And generally, to Texas, I think you want to know the party story from the city. Now we start to talk about the music beautiful house. Listen, let's get into the story. So straight up, to say refresh and see how you go. It's a very personal experience. Maybe it's delicious and refreshing food. It's a good something I call the feeling of joy. And their flavor and content. Pick up your place and go to. Or you'll find all my favorite flavors. Look at the ground down with an opening. Fresh fruit and pizza. I'm not just saying, here's the new family plan. You can save up to 50% on select messages. Feel free recommendations on purchases. Here's the photo shoot in 2025. So that message matters. And not just from the followers. It's okay. Everyone needs some support sometimes. Together for life, not campaigning for available resources for health and well-being. Everyone is welcome here. With full resources available.
Look at this now. Shoshi. No pressures, no. Yes. Look at this one. Hey. Hi.
Vaporize or protein fat. With this picoftheday. The 3-hour video with over 100 meal appreciation created for you right now on studies.com. Meal appreciation teaching back in studies just stay on studies and listen now in the 3-hour video. Remember, this video portion to the following program is recorded. changing up the water. They weren't raising up the water. And you know what else they weren't doing? They weren't having the water for food for it. So I'm wondering if, again, I know that has something to do with the food. It has nothing to do with the food. It has nothing to do with the food. It's just not really blue. It's just not really thick. Something. Something off there. Now, trying to be outrageous. What I'm saying is, the idea of that, not the food stuff. Okay? Okay? Correctly? Correctly? You said that? I do want to go to the I do want to go on March just put out time and look at that. Yeah, so maybe some coffee powder and some masks or whatever. Anything like that. Next week, we need to decide who's going to be on Small Business Saturday Spotlight. And to do that, we're actually going to spin the wheel and see who we got select. People who got me spin the wheel for us. Have a good day. And hopefully get them in the future. So like that business, I'll be able to get more about their food and drinks and their emails and all the things that they offer. I'm looking forward to that. Got to make sure that you start working in advance. Everybody, you have this people every day. Maybe this is a new topic on this, but we got a lot to go before we get to this year's Small Business Saturday in November. I'm so looking forward to that. And I'm so looking forward to yet another year with you listening to Certified Saturday. This year has become just such a fun experience for me. You know, connecting to take on this position as corporate American Labor. And all of you guys in the job where everyone says, wow, you guys do this, you'll never leave this room. And I said, hey, you can put the water away, I will do it. I will do it. Absolutely not good. Like, support my community, because I do donates. We started getting phone calls from our neighbors saying, if they could come help clean, or what can they do to help, and it's just the feeling that everybody's just has our back is just amazing. So here it says that his parents, it takes 38 years into the bakery, released destroyed last week in May. The LA County Sheriff's Department says some people involved have been identified and will be held accountable. The state has a security guard at 447 to the Tennessee Lane down Federal Road that were leased to the same businessman. On November 11th, they were fixed by leased by Ahmed Nawaz, top plumber, forcing the temporary closure of the freeway. Governor Newsom says the state has been trying to evict Nawaz for some time, including the dozens of subletting tenants that were illegally renting from Nawaz. The security guard has been told to watch for anything suspicious, including any political signs. The Fed has pledged $1 billion for the construction of a people mover in the city of Inglewood. The 1.6-mile project will connect the Metro's K line to the Forum, SoFi Stadium, and a soon-to-be-completed arena for the LA Clippers. Total project cost is $2 billion, with additional funding coming from local and state resources. It's expected to be fully operational before the 2029 Summer Olympics. Prosecutors in LA County have asked the court to skip an evidentiary hearing tied to evidence regarding a Gibson murdering trial. Cookie DA spokeswoman Kimberly Edwards says it would be impracticable to dismiss evidence against Todd Smith and torture the guy until he stands on a settlement trial.
This argument leads to the understanding that we are still at the controversial appeals process. We have getting a trial, and we will not agree any evidence that claims are still not continuing.
The assistant public defender Scott Sanders said prosecuted good evidence for Jeff Taylor charged with a larger conspiracy, and Smith cannot get a fair retrial. The retrial is expected before 18 years ago. The Federal Aviation Administration said it will temporarily ground the Boeing 737 MAX 9 airplanes used by U.S. airlines. This plane got unexpectedly low due to a detach from an Alaska Airlines flight in midair. The FAA is considering immediate inspections of the planes before they can enter the flight.
Dude,
The
this
mayor
is
of Denver has called for a national plan to coordinate where migrants arrive in cities. Ted Johnson says that Denver has received more migrants per capita than any big city outside of Texas in the past year. He says he's been lobbying federal officials for both tax assistance and work permits.
If people have the ability to work, then they know to tell you we have more than enough capacity to put them to work. We just don't want people here with no capacity to work and expect cities to put them to work.
Johnson said 10% of Denver's spending is going towards migrants' housing, food, and other services. He says it's going to take a compromise on the federal level since congressional action is needed for comprehensive immigration reform. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken continues his trip through the Middle East with a stop in Greece. Blinken met with the Greek Prime Minister in Crete to discuss a number of ongoing conflicts, including Israel's ongoing war with Hamas and Gaza and the war in Ukraine.
The fact that we can understand that we're looking for the way to defend Ukraine, whether it's for peace and stability in the Mediterranean, whether it's dealing with the situation in the Middle East with Gaza, and so many other ways, that's a tremendous way to strengthen the European United States.
Blinken says the United States and Greece are working together to combat Israel. And NATO professionals say ViralRabbi is a good thing.
Alcohol dispenses are the darkest world that needs more competitive food or competitive sugar. Mix things even more that's high sugar, and it doesn't have the nutritional benefits. So when you stop drinking, you start to proliferate weight loss.
City Police Officer Darian Cobb says donors have raised for just 1 month, covering major health benefits that should continue all year round. And now let's get to KFI traffic. There's a crash on 405 from Longdale in Atlanta. Northbound Hawthorne Boulevard is at Franklin. Your left lane there. The traffic is all over Franklin and Queensway. Union Crossroad and 17 freeway northbound towards Colorado West is clear to road. West is within the 105. And just below the next on the 405 and Wilson, that crash is clear too. Jesus still heavy from Venice Boulevard at Greenfield to Culver Pass. And the diamond down to 60 westbound towards Green, that crash is also right further north to Jacob Rock. KFI in the traffic, if you don't enter, I'm Randy Fuller.
I have diabetes. I know this, so you need proper pneumonia. If you are reaching out about this chronic condition of asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or infectious
Reds. I don't know if they do this in Turkey.
partner channel may help provide added protection, especially family with kids or adults, to help prevent infections from further strains of the bacteria that cause many pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on specific studies. Parenting kids not channels who had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weak immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include human immunological injection sites, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit partnerchannel.com.
Satellite medicine calls mild lows in 40s, partly cloudy, then sunny in the afternoon. Tomorrow, highs around 60s with increase in evening for metro AOC, the valley, Valley and Empire. Highs in the upper 30s and 40s in the high desert. Also snow to most of the mountains. Snow levels are dropping to as low as 4 tons and speeding elevation. I'm on the CBA Hill 54 and Heavens also 54. Doherty 55. Carson 57 degrees. Evening look at dropping 10 down in the entire region. I'm in East Arizona.
Listen on the Free Talk Radio app for all your music, sports, talk, and podcasts. Free, never-ending program. KFOA 640.
AM 640. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Oh yeah, yes I'll have no fear, cause she don't be this year. Yes I'll have no fear, cause she a real man.
On any given day in Southern California, hundreds of investigators are working more than 10,000 unsolved cases. That's thousands of friends and family who have lost loved ones, thousands of people who got away with a crime, and thousands of murderers who still walk the streets. Killers who may be your neighbor, dating your kids, or kids dating your close relatives. Next year, we'll highlight the gratifying tale of the baffled investigators as the police unravel this mystery. This is Unsolved Mystery Collector. Los Angeles County Sheriff's homicide case number 006-18340-213-011. The murder of 28-year-old Michael Johnson, along with the related Los Angeles County Sheriff's cold case number 006-18692-2136-011. The death of 12-year-old Jonathan Ryan. Cold Case Detective Charlie Parker and his team are regular contributors to the show. They promise many cold cases that they've picked up, having never seen them before. But on rare occasions, they present cases that they were involved with years ago, but they still elude them. In fact, this pair of cases, though separate, are connected. The Parker family were not only both teams in 2006, both cases still haunt them to this day. We begin with Detective McCarthy and an overview of the first case of the deadly search warrant. 13,006 were arrested in one party. Two of the above parties claimed they were escaped to the 29th block of 17th Street in unincorporated Los Angeles. And basically, self-control. Alameda, currently registered block party who estimated running number of 1575 people in 992. We later learned he was a birthday party. He was predominantly local speaker numbers, two different trips speaking, in trip things, and 117 weather. Back in that trip, those things, for the most part, they got along, they lived in the same thing, area, they stayed in just a neighborhood. Each time I was actually with one partner, 117 figure. Shortly after 10 o'clock, witnesses said he had tension in the way. A couple of guys had arrived on motorcycles.
they said immediately upon their arrival, sent up in the air, people knowing about, they could feel something like that. Shortly after that, in May, after the beginning of the houses, and every witness started on it. So we have ongoing shooting on television, and we didn't care who saw it right now. And things that are viewed on Facebook, a guy on a motorcycle did there was a very brief argument, and then the shooting started, and 4 people got shot, including the guy on the motorcycle. His name was Michael. Michael was killed. 3 other people were wounded. One was a associate of Michael. The 2 of them just played the no other people. He was suspended from the shooting, but he's targeted. Everybody, for the most part, fled the area and didn't come back. But there was one witness in particular who stayed there, and as we found out later in the investigation, the reason he stayed there, one of the wounded was his brother. And he told his responders, he told them, I witnessed it, I know who did it, and I'm willing to fight for Congress. So they kept him at the location until we got there. And as you already know, regarding financial discussion, regarding things, he told me he did. He said, he couldn't recognize that in the neighborhood, there's narcotics dealers in the neighborhood. I'm tired of him causing problems that he caused, and behind this unbelievable process, his brother was seriously wounded. So we had him in that suit. Now there was only one witness. We basically had 2 scenarios. A motive that had a game of 2. If you want to give us the details, shooting, but they separate with 3. But because he was personally raped, taken down his Michael, he was willing to come. So we proceeded with our investigation. We have a suspect. We believe he's a credible suspect. We also have some information from anonymous sources that are identified the same person as Bill. So we felt pretty good about pursuing our investigation as soon as I started. So obviously, an investigation on what we're going to do and uncover evidence. The biggest strides and things that we've done with the people. So we did some follow-up. We identified several locations that were target homes, residences, and things in the area. And we actually pushed them to create some open information in the camp. And it was 2 weeks after the shooting. All the logistical complications of pushing also in the church, shooting residential for food we had several different teams of personnel before pushing forward on this conversation. During the service, the most everything was and the biggest concern for the people was the communication.
You didn't
And
fucking
we
stand up.
have to anybody or shoot anybody in the service and everything was very smart. It was and the either I'll get into that a little bit later. And it's just from the book on the shift in the late October and how 2020 So, before you go into the big stuff, it's not all great. So, now that you kind of laid it all out, I got a bunch of questions, okay? Okay, so we're talking about the time selfie also was kind of two separate murders that happened at park, but there was a connection with this bit later in the show. But first, this is on charge of Tuesday, we're on 4,640 now. Here's the first.
And as a pair of other live from the California confirmed the World War II era military weapon having discovered in an underwater tank farm off the coast of Southern California. The area was known for being a government approved industrial and chemical waste dumping ground from the 1930s up until 1972. The mother of an 11-year-old who was killed this week in a school shooting in Iowa says it was done with her only child. The boy also, boy's mother also says that he walked off the school ahead of her and her sister that day because he was excited to see his friends after winter break. The man has been arrested nearby from her and San Diego County for allegedly forcing a woman into his car and hitting a patrol vehicle while fleeing the scene. We'll take a look at the 101 trivia. Did you know that the worst things you would do is killing yourself after completing a constant exciting day without waiting a full semester? Think about it. Once your car has been sitting in the garage for 6 months without power on, any piece of machinery is considered needs to be cleaned up. The car service company will chemically furnish to just give your car and guarantee labor. You guarantee that the Tinder furnish to save you $88 on your energy bill. And you guarantee that the Tinder furnish will be
Just that shitty, probably good beef jerky or shitty commercial. Worst commercial of all time? I don't know. I don't know.
Bold, smooth taste of Dunkin' cold. Dunkin' cold coffee can be brewed in your Keurig coffee maker and enjoyed at home.
Check out
You
this
heard that
one.
right. Dunkin's cold K-Cup pods were crafted to be brewed hot and enjoyed cold. Each Dunkin' cold K-Cup pod is packed with the smooth, bold Dunkin' flavor you crave. Pick up a pack of Dunkin's cold K-Cup pods and enjoy a Dunkin' cold coffee at home whenever you crave it. Just brew over ice and sip in seconds, because the home with Dunkin' is where you want to be. I'm Jenna Fisher.
And I'm Angela Kinsey.
We were on The Office together.
And we're best friends.
And now we're doing the Ultimate Office Rewatch podcast just for you.
Each week, we will break down an episode of The Office and give exclusive behind-the-scenes stories that only two people who were there can tell you.
We're the Office Ladies.
Hey, welcome back to Office Ladies. It is Angela Kinsey.
And Jenna Fisher.
And we're going to be talking today about healthcare.
Healthcare, one of my favorite episodes from season 1.
I love it. I love this episode because to me, it's The Office at its best because it's ordinary people doing ordinary things and it all goes south.
And it's big stakes because having a job that has good healthcare is everything. So yes, today we are talking about season 1, episode 3, healthcare. It was written by Paul Lieberstein, who plays Toby Henderson. Yes. And directed by Ken Whittingham.
I love Ken.
And we love Ken.
Ken is the tall, gentle man. Like, he is just, like, so sweet and kind.
Oh, you and I would talk to Ken all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Probably, like, too much. Like, he probably at some point was like,
ladies, I have work to do.
I have work to do. And we're like, hi, Ken. He's just so lovely.
We had Ken back a lot. Over the entire 9 seasons, he directed 9 episodes of The Office, including Phyllis's Wedding.
Yes, you just had a little bit of St. Louis there.
I did.
I hear it every once in a while, but you said over.
Oh, is that a St. Louis thing?
I don't know, but you say some words like different. I think it's St. Louis.
The biggest St. Louis thing that I don't do, but that Phyllis does, speaking of Phyllis, is farty far.
Oh,
So we have a highway there called Highway 44.
yeah,
They call it farty far, and you eat with a fork.
yeah. Sometimes Rain and Phyllis sat back to back, you know?
Yeah.
And every once in a while, Rain would just turn around to Phyllis and say, Phyllis, say 44. And she would like, Phyllis, like when she gets really tickled, she snorts when she laughs. So she'd be like, party par. Okay, all right, keep going.
All right, well, let me do a summary of healthcare. It's pretty simple. Jan tells Michael that he needs to pick a cheaper healthcare plan for his employees to help prevent downsizing. Michael gives the job to Dwight and then hides in his office all day because he knows
Oh, yeah.
no one is going to want their healthcare slashed.
This is classic Michael passing the buck.
For
We're
sure.
going to see over and over and over in the lifetime of the show.
So after Dwight picks a plan that slashes almost all the benefits and the entire office revolts, Michael promises us a surprise. Very
Yes.
big.
Yes, which is what you do with your children when you have to give them right and bad news. But there's gonna be a surprise.
It's so true. And what I think is interesting is that everyone is skeptical, but also like, well, maybe there is a surprise.
It's so
Like,
sad.
there could be a surprise.
It's a little bit like Charlie Brown kicked the football. Like, you know, when Lucy kept doing that. I feel like they're like, there's no way he's gonna come through. But maybe because we hate our job so much. So maybe there'll be something
Something's
nice.
gonna happen. But then Michael has to spend the entire rest of the day scrambling to come up with something.
Yeah.
And what he comes up with is
Oh, just
a
nothing.
whole lot of nothing.
Just nothing.
Yes.
All right, Jenna, do you want to do some fast facts?
You know I do.
I know
Angela.
you do.
You know it. All right. So my first fast fact is that after the pilot episode, which we talked about was pretty much a word for word adaptation of the British pilot, because this was a British television show before it was an American television show. After that, we started writing all original episodes. So Diversity Day was all original. It was our story. And this is all original with the exception of a little wink, a little nod to the British show.
What? Trivia master? What?
So in an episode of The British Office, their Dwight character, whose name is Gareth, he gets to lead an investigation into some dirty emails that came into the office. And so he takes over the conference room. And he even puts a little sign on the window. And that is the little thing that we stole for this episode, is that Dwight is going to do that same thing.
He's
in
going
our
to take over
episode.
the conference room.
Yes, but in this case, it is to pick a new healthcare plan for the company.
Right.
So we did that from time to time. We just do like these little nods to the British show, which I always think are kind of fun, especially because there were people who were huge fans of the original who were then watching our show, and that was like a little treat.
Well, I like it. I like where your head's at.
starting out this episode.
You
with
like
some
it?
really good trivia, Jenna. I like where you're going. I like it. I've got my note cards ready, lady.
Do you want to hit me with a note card or shall I continue with fast facts?
No. Do your fast facts. I got some note cards waiting for you, though.
All right. Well, this is a fast fact, and it's actually something, Angela, that you pointed out.
Oh, is it a Kinsey fast fact?
It's a Kinsey fast fact.
Okay.
That this is the first time we see Devin and Creed at their desks.
Oh, yes. I love spotting little things in the background.
You are. I'm gonna label you our background expert.
No, don't. I'm not the expert.
You are. You notice those things. You really notice continuity stuff. Was it because you spent so much time in the background, Angela?
Is that a dig?
No, we all did.
I'm totally kidding.
No, we
totally
did.
kidding.
But I'm like,
All right, Miss Front Reception. Let me tell you something. Back in accounting corner, we notice shiitake. Okay, we notice things.
no, but you're always lurking back there. So I thought, well, maybe
Now I'm a lurker.
I thought maybe you're noticing more of what's happening
Well,
back there.
Some real truths coming out today. You know what I noticed in this episode? That Jim has an ET on his desk. An
A
ET
what?
doll.
A little extraterrestrial.
Yes,
See what I'm saying? This is a Kinsey background observation.
He's got a little ET on his desk, and the ET is wearing like a blue coat.
I have never noticed this.
I know. It's at for you guys watching. It's at 14 minutes, around 35 seconds. There's an ET on Jim's desk, and I'm like, what the heck? I don't remember that ET. Okay. Anyway, see if you see ET at 14 minutes.
Wow. See what I'm saying? You did have a note card.
I have a ton of note cards.
There you go.
I have more. Okay, go.
All right, Angela. Here's my last fast fact. And this is something I learned when I was doing my prep for this episode and I listened to the DVD commentary. So this is the third episode of season 1. However, we shot it 6th.
What?
Yeah. So I remember we shot the pilot and then we waited like 6 months to see if we got picked up.
Yeah.
And then when we did get picked up, the writers had turned in, like, they had all their scripts ready for season 1 because there were only 5 more to do.
That's right. We only did 6.
We did not shoot them in the same order in which they aired. So when we finished this episode, we all said goodbye.
Oh my gosh. Do you know
And
that?
I remember that now.
That puts a whole different filter on it now, like rewatching it, because I feel like we were really loosey-goosey in this episode. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but a few of us just full-on laughed, and it's in the episode. But
We were a tight-knit group
We had all
by the
become
time we were
friends.
filming this.
yeah, we were all pals.
And I
at this
think
time.
it shows in the episode. And I think that might also be why I have such like a warm place in my heart for this episode, because when we were filming this episode, we really believed that this was the last one we would ever do.
Oh, for sure. I thought we were not coming back at all. And I had my name, like, they printed out our name like on paper, but then laminated it,
For our trailer door.
yeah, with a little bit of Velcro. And that was on our trailer door. And I took my little laminated piece of paper that said my name.
Me
I
too.
still have it.
I still have it. You know what I did?
What?
I made a mixtape.
Oh my God.
I made a mixtape and I called it something like Scranton Sounds of Scranton.
Sounds of Scranton.
And I gave it to John, Rain, Steve, and BJ, along with a tiny homemade scrapbook of some photos.
And then you said, hi, 1994 called. They want my mixtape back.
I'm sure those guys were like, this is
And you were like, listen,
the girliest present I've ever been given.
I just picture you giving that mixtape to people, and some people, like, they don't even have a tape player in their car.
No one, it was a CD.
Okay.
It was a mixed CD. I call it mixtape.
Okay, I pictured an actual
No, it
mixtape.
wasn't a cassette. It was a CD. I am certain, if I had to bet money, I am certain no one ever listened to it.
Oh.
I listen to it all the time.
You listened to it in your car ride? Because it was the Sounds of Scranton.
It was
for
the
you.
Sounds of Scranton. This is real. So my commute to where we filmed the first season of The Office was very long. It was over an hour because I lived in San Fernando Valley and we shot in Culver City. And if you live in Los Angeles or have ever been here, that is a very long commute in the morning.
Yes.
And I wanted to quote unquote get in character. So I wanted to pretend like I was driving in Scranton. So I wanted some sounds of Scranton.
Did you like?
I had a coffee.
Research what people were listening to in Scranton.
I
Like,
didn't.
How do you know for the sounds of Scranton?
You know what? I really don't. I want to say I made a lot of assumptions, and I kind of went back to my college days, and I had some classic rock and a little bit of Garth Brooks. But now that I'm saying it, I realize I don't really know what East Coast people listen to. I was so whatever. It put me in a headspace.
Okay, well, I just want you to know, I want the Sounds of Scranton on our website.
I'm gonna look for it.
I want the
I
playlist.
bet I still have it.
Also, I want to know if
It's gonna be embarrassing.
If it was a CD, I want to know, did you make a little cover and write out each song, or did you type them out and print it? Is there a photo? What's the cover of the CD?
The cover of the CD is a collage of different pictures that remind me of Scranton.
Wait. No, wait. Please stop. These aren't photos of people on the show.
No.
They're images of Scranton that you got from the computer, you got from the internet,
And it's a collage.
and so they're photos of Scranton.
Yes.
And it's called Sounds of Scranton.
Right.
You
And
are
I
the
would
biggest
listen to
story
it,
now.
and I
You
would
are
listen to
officially
it
the
on my
biggest story.
drive to get into the character of Pam.
Oh my God.
And then I would go to work.
This is all why I love you. This is why I love you. Because I want to be best friends with a person that prints images of places in Scranton and makes a collage.
Well,
and then makes up a CD.
As I'm telling this story now, it's occurring to me that when you live in a city, you don't make a tribute CD of the city you live in.
Well,
Like
guess what?
I lived in St. Louis my whole life, and I never drove around with a CD called Sounds of St. Louis.
Well, I'm going to now. Sounds of Los Angeles.
Ooh,
It's gonna
let's
happen.
make it. I didn't know what to give as a wrap gift. That's a thing. Do people know that when you finish a series, when you finish a season of a show, it's sort of customary to give out little presents to your cast members or to some of your crew members? And so I really did not know what to give out. You know, Kate Flannery, I give out Sounds of Scranton. Kate Flannery had these Dunder Mifflin candles made. Do you remember that?
I have it.
I still have it.
I have it.
Yeah, and she gave out like a Dunder Mifflin candle, but we really gifted. We were like, we're done.
I got everyone to sign my script, so I still have that, and that's really cool. And Kate gave me a photo of her and I standing at our trailers because we shared a trailer. Kate and I had a trailer, and just the only thing between our toilets was like a plastic accordion door. So if I sat on my toilet and she sat on hers, our knees touched. So we made a vow to never use our toilets. We were like, we just can't. We can't. That's just not going to happen.
I remember that.
You remember our plastic accordion door?
I do.
It didn't even really shut, so we just opened it and just shared basically one room with two toilets.
Well, when I think back to that time, I remember having anxiety about, I've just had the most thrilling experience of my acting life. I had been a struggling actor for 8 years before I got my job on The Office. I'd never had a regular role on anything. I'd done pilots, but they never got picked up. So this was my first series. And I thought, well, what do I do? If this show gets canceled, I guess I just go back to the beginning. We could have all had to go back and get day jobs again.
So Kate Flannery and I we did not quit our day jobs for the first season of The Office.
Oh, I remember that.
Kate Flannery was still a waitress at Kate Manalini in Beverly Hills. And so she would work on The Office and then she'd go wait tables.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I was working at iOS, which was an improv theater, and I was helping run The Office. And I stayed on and would help. Yeah, I just would have gone back to helping run a theater and improv classes, and I ran the intern program. I fired someone who's now famous, one of my interns.
Who? Can you say?
He's a lovable person, and I love him.
Tell me.
So this was my intern who was always late. He was always late. The higher ups said, okay, you can be late 3 times, and then you get fired. And so
as an intern, his job was to keep the restroom clean.
He had to come early, set up the box office.
Okay.
Like we needed him there early. And he was late a lot, but I really liked him. And then finally they were like, you're going to have to fire him. So he walks in one day, and his name is Derek Waters.
Creator of Drunk History.
And he walked in, and he was really late. And I was like, hey, Derek. And he's like, hey, Angela, are you going to fire me today? And I was like, I am. And he goes, okay.
Oh my gosh, Angela, he told me this story. I wrote a book, everyone plug, The Actor's Life, a survival guide. Check it out.
Nice
Local
flex.
books.
Nice flex.
Local bookstores. Check it out. I wrote a book and I interviewed Derek in the book, and he told me the story of being fired from IO. I did not know it was you that fired him.
It was me.
But it's still very much on his mind because he mentioned it in an interview.
I know, but anyway, I would just go back to running a theater, basically. I have something, so I know healthcare is about the office, finding a good healthcare plan and the downsizing. I know the overall arc of this episode, but I just want you to know I have started calling this episode the Pam Sass.
The Pam Sass.
And it's going to come up throughout this episode where Pam is super sassy.
Well.
It starts off right away when Michael comes up to you and you say, "I'm not making any copies." Like, you're sassy out of the gate, lady. And then you say, "Oh, do you want me to repeat the messages for the," and like you look to camera. I have many more as we go through this episode.
Oh my God, what were you? Did I piss you off before you watched this episode?
No.
And then you're just looking for sass moments?
I am not. Hey, listen, you rewatch it and right away you're just like, you are here. You are not here to mess around.
You try having a boss like Michael Scott and see what kind of mood it puts you in.
Well, you were sassy in this
I was matter of fact.
Pam Sass.
Oh
Okay, go
goodness.
on. What's out? What else is there?
That's it.
All right, lady, I think we should take a break.
I think we should, but I think we should tell everyone that when we come back from our break, we're going to have a special guest.
Well, I think you just told them.
I did. It's going to be a tall drink of water.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rainn Wilson.
Yes.
Whether your resolution is to save money, eat better, or stress less, HelloFresh is here to help you do all three.
Yes, you guys, I love HelloFresh. Jen and I both love it. You know why we love it. And guess what I made the other night?
What?
It was so delicious. I made their pub-style shepherd's pie.
I've made it.
Yes, it's so good. White cheddar and then prime mashed potatoes.
I know it very well. It's a family favorite.
Well, you know, Josh normally makes dinner, so this was my turn, and I made this, and he loved it. And I was so happy. I was like, I made a shepherd's pie. I'd never made one before.
It's so good. Everyone, you can say hello to your most delicious year yet with fresh ingredients, chef-crafted recipes, all at a price you'll like, delivered right to your door. Go to hellofresh.com/officeladiesfree and use code officeladiesfree for free breakfast for life.
One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at hellofresh.com/officeladiesfree with code officeladiesfree.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
You know, around New Year's, we all reflect and people really start making lists of what they can do to be their best self for the next year.
Yes, I think, the new year definitely makes you think New Year's resolution. What do I want to change?
New year, new me, that kind of thing.
Yes, but perhaps this year we could be reflecting on what we're already doing right.
Yeah.
And therapy can help you figure out your strengths so that you can ditch this idea that you need some extreme change or this extreme New Year's resolution and just, you can make changes that really stick because they're based on your strengths.
I like that.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/officeladies today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/officeladies. Let's talk a little bit about hydration in the new year, particularly about liquid IV. Angela, you turned me on to this, and I'm going to have to give you props.
Oh, thanks.
It's pretty great. You told me that you use this when you travel to stay better hydrated, and I started doing the same thing.
Whenever we go on a road trip, it's like I don't want to drink too much water because then I'll have to pee, and then I find myself so dehydrated. So I use this.
Well, I like it for hikes. Here's what it is. You get a little packet and you put it in your water, and then you are going to get 3 times the electrolytes of a leading sports drink plus 8 vitamins and nutrients.
It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. It is perfect for daily use before a workout or when you feel run down or after a long night out,
Hint, hint.
hint, hint, or even on really long flights.
Rehydrate yourself for the new year. Grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier sugar-free in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 20% off your first order when you go to liquidiv.com and use code OfficeLadies at checkout.
That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code OfficeLadies at liquidiv.com.
It's time to break down the healthcare episode.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to go a little rogue here.
Okay.
We're going to do a phone call with Rainn Wilson.
With Rainn Wilson.
Yeah, there were just too many things about this episode that were Dwight centered, and we had a lot of questions from fans that I think we needed to go straight to the source. We agreed.
We agreed, and Rainn said yes, and we're so thrilled. So we're going to talk to Rainn.
We're going to call him. Let's call Rainn.
Hello.
Is this Rainn Wilson?
Hey, Rainn.
It's Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson, it's Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey.
What's up, Bella?
How are you? Thanks for doing this.
I'm great, guys.
Yeah?
I'm really good. I'm launching a podcast this week called Metaphysical Milkshake.
Oh,
And I'm doing that with Reza Aslan.
and is this in coordination with Soul Pancake?
It is, yes. And it's life's big questions of, philosophy and psychology and spirituality and sociology. And we're talking to some of the world's greatest minds with some super interesting stories.
I love that.
That launches very soon.
That is so you, Rainn.
That is so
you.
that
You
is
are
so
the
great.
person I go to with all of those questions in life. We can tell people I have called you on occasion sobbing. You are my person that I trust with those big life moments. So this makes total sense. It's true.
That's so sweet.
Yes.
I call you anytime I have an issue in the kitchen or anything
You
with cooking
do
or bread.
not.
Anything
Wait,
related.
I will say this though,
Whatever.
Rainn, you know what I love is that you do reach out to Jenna and I in times when you're definitely like wanting like love and support, and I love that we are all there for each other like that. It's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
you guys are like the sisters that I never had.
Aw, you're too. We've talked about you a little bit, like how you would look at us and say, like, look at them. They just like they're two pins, like click, 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 click.
They will not stop talking.
If the listeners could only know what those conversations were like on the side, and it's just like, I made the best lasagna you did. I love lasagna. One time I went to Italy, I had lasagna. You know, in Italy, I've been to Spain one time.
I mean, Rainn.
You like ham? I love ham.
They weren't even that interesting, Rainn. They weren't even that interesting.
Way more interesting.
That is like way more fascinating than anything we ever talked about for hours on end.
It's so
Okay,
cute.
well, we have some questions for you about the healthcare episode.
We do. All right.
Go.
So we're talking to you about the healthcare episode, which is appropriate because this is a Dwight A storyline.
Big storyline.
Big
Your first real big one, right?
Wow, thanks, guys. Thanks for the support. Yeah. 2004? Yeah, thank you.
Hey, you did some great stuff a decade ago.
All right, so I want to ask you, Rainn, just what comes to mind for you when you first think of the healthcare episode?
That was the first episode that I remember that we spent an inordinate amount of time in the conference room.
Yeah.
And I remember saying hot dog fingers.
Hot dog
Very funny.
fingers.
Which totally made us break, and they left it in the episode. Rainn, I full on start laughing, and then Brian breaks character and points to me and starts laughing, and it's still in the
That
episode.
is your real laughing in
That's
that.
me really laughing.
It's true. They left in the edit you guys breaking, you guys cracking over these diseases. It's truly hysterical. But I do remember saying to Keith Flannery, didn't I say, like, you had your vagina removed? And she's like, it was a hysterectomy. It was my uterus or
I
something
still
like
have
that.
a vagina.
Yes, that was in the
Yeah,
conference
yeah.
room. But when you first come out, this is a frequently asked fan question, which is, did you guys improvise the fake diseases or were they scripted? And I remember that there were scripted fake diseases, but then at a certain point, just Paul and the director and other writers came down and they were just handing you a piece of paper with improvised fake diseases, and none of us knew you were going to say hot dog fingers. It was a complete and utter surprise. That was not in the script. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so that's exactly. there were some very funny ones that were scripted, and Nano Robot, Micro Invasion, or whatever that one was.
Right.
That was in there, and a lot of great ones were in there. But yeah, they kept feeding the other ones. It was very hard for me to keep a straight face. I wrote all the time.
I know. I remember thinking, how are we going to have any usable takes? Because we all kept laughing.
You know, you get to a certain point in laughing where you just cross a line where you've just been tickled too much and you just can't bring it back.
Yes.
That happened. You know, that happened maybe like, I won't say every episode, but every 2 to 3 episodes that kind of happened for me, and it absolutely happened in this one. But my friend Kevin Isola, who's an actor in New York, he was visiting the set, and he was the one who actually threw out hot dog.
Oh my gosh,
my
that's amazing.
Kevin!
Claim to fame, yeah.
He's claimed it. I hope he has a shirt that just says hot dog fingers.
I mean, I feel like
I am going to buy him that shirt right now.
Send that to
That would be a really good. That would be a really good shirt.
Right.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, hot dog fingers. Rain, you have one of my favorite talking heads in this episode. I mean, there's so many. You have so many good ones over the years, but this is like the one, definitely season 1, that is like,
It sort of is like the quintessential in for Dwight.
yes, it's the lion. Your whole like your whole rant about in the wild there is no healthcare. In the wild, healthcare is.
Right.
Ow! I hurt my leg.
Should we play it? Do you want us to
Yeah.
play it, Rain? We have
you wanna
that
hear
ability
it?
here. We're really high
Yeah,
tech.
yeah, I love it. Yeah.
You want to listen to yourself deliver a great talking head?
I do. In the wild, there is no healthcare. In the wild, healthcare is, ow, I hurt my leg. I can't run. The lion eats me, and I'm dead. Well, I'm not dead. I'm the lion. You're dead.
I love that so much.
Oh my gosh.
The only thing I'll say about that one was, you know, we were really establishing Dwight and his logic and how seriously he took himself, and these kind of rules that Dwight started to develop, where he's very hierarchical and status, and like this is how things must be done. But he has a completely different set of rules than other people do. Just how he sees the world. So one of the things I think that has given the character enduring appeal is he sees the world in a very clear way, with these kind of stratum hierarchy
Yes.
of rights and wrongs and moralities and how things work and how they should work. And they're very severe. And this is one of the first talking heads that kind of like delved into that world of Dwight. And it's all Paul Lieberstein. He wrote that, and he was very happy with it. He was so excited to kind of help, really helped direct. He was directing the episode, but he was right there kind of giving a ton of notes on different inflections and ways to say it.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
this is totally random, but Rain, in rewatching this, during that talking head, you're passing out the new healthcare plan. You're tossing it to people. You're handing it around the office, and it looks like you have a lollipop in your mouth. There is a white stick sticking out of your mouth as you're passing all these papers out.
You should know something about this podcast, Rain, which is that Angela is constantly picking up on these weird little details.
Well, I'm just like, what the heck? When I rewatch it, I'm like, does Rain as Dwight, are you sucking on a lollipop as you're passing this out? Because that's brilliant.
I have no memory of that whatsoever, but I think maybe I was. Yeah.
Well, look, around 4 minutes, 50 seconds, you like have, it looks like a lollipop in your mouth. It's just sort of,
at 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
no, 50, around 50 seconds. You're just
50
like
seconds.
flippantly passing these papers, though, sucking on a lollipop. I thought it was really cool and powerful. I don't know, I loved it.
Well, this leads us into the scene with Jim and Pam confronting Dwight about picking a horrible plan where he slashed all the benefits. You have all those other great Dwightisms where you say you've never been sick, that you have an amazing immune system, to which, you know, we ask you, how can you have a great immune system if you've never been sick? And it's just, you have great genes. And that's when you say that you can raise and lower your cholesterol at will. And I say, why would you want to raise your cholesterol? And you say, so I can lower it. I remember shooting that scene with you, and I remember that was the couplet that I couldn't get through. Why would you? That was the one that got me. And that was a question from a fan, actually. Christopher said, how many times did it take for you and Rain to get through the cholesterol scene? And I can't remember how many times, but it was a lot, Christopher.
Yeah, it's funny how in history, looking back on The Office, there are these quotes that pop out that become like the classic quotes of the character. And it's interesting that, for Dwight, there's like 15 or 20 kind of Dwightisms that stand the test of time, and that fans love to, identity theft is not a joke to Jim, some of these ones. And the cholesterol one is definitely one of them.
I feel like another one of those phrases that people talk about is the Count Choculatus, the scene when you are confronting Jim, but also something that ended up on the cutting room floor from this, where you actually had meetings with a bunch of people in the office. You shot something where you confronted Oscar. I think you had a meeting with him, didn't you, Angela? It was very short. Probably. He asks you if you wrote the fake diseases. Because he goes through and interviews people. Mm-hmm. Well, in your interview with Jim, you say Count Choculatus. Why did you write that down, Jim? Is it because I love Count Chocula? I love the idea that you love Count Chocula, that's what Dwight has for breakfast in the mornings, or maybe late at night while he's watching TV. Maybe it's a snack.
Maybe he models himself after Count Chocula. Maybe he has an affinity for Count Chocula, a character, a person behind the cereal.
Yeah, not even the cereal.
It's not the cereal. That's right. He loves Count Chocula, the cereal, the person.
Connected to actual Count Chocula. He relates to him.
Yeah. Well, you brought it up earlier. There's also the conference room scene when you start announcing ailments, and you tell us that if we want it covered, we have to fess up and admit that it's a real disease. And that's when you have that bit with Meredith where she says, you say inverted penis. And she said, do you mean vagina? Because if so, I want that covered. And then you bring up, I thought you didn't have a vagina, you had a hysterectomy. And then she has that great line. I still have a vagina.
I think I improvised that. And this is early on, we started to kind of
Wait, you improvised that she had a hysterectomy? Did you improvise that? Because that pays off later in another episode.
No. That was in there, the hysterectomy. But the line that I felt you didn't have a vagina.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because you. Oh, okay.
That sounds like you. Isabel has been wanting to watch The Office, Rain, and I haven't let her yet, but now all of her friends have seen it in 5th grade, and so I let her watch this episode with me.
5th grade?
Her friends, oh my God, they're obsessed.
Oh, yes. That's when it starts now.
That's when it starts.
5th grade.
5th grade.
But 5th grade is young.
5th grade is young, and so Isabel hasn't seen The Office, and I didn't have her watch it because I didn't think it was age appropriate, and also I just need to be mom, but she's getting more curious now, and so she loves the bloopers. So we've watched the bloopers because they were on YouTube, and then I was rewatching this episode, and she wanted to watch it, so I let her watch it with me. And so her introduction to The Office is healthcare.
Oh my goodness!
And so
anal fissures.
That's it. Okay, so that scene came up, and she was like, "Wait, Mom, that's not a real thing, is it? What is that?" And I was like, "Oh God, it is a real thing." And then she's like,
"But if you ride on the New York subway, they have ads up for anal fissures.
There you go.
Read all about them."
Well, Isabel turned to me and goes, "Does Brian have anal fissures?" I'm like, "No, Brian doesn't. Brian does not.
Kevin does.
Kevin does." And anyway, it was just sort of funny to watch the episode with her.
Well, this is a little bit off the topic of healthcare, but a little on the topic of just how we're friends in real life. People ask that all the time. We're friends in real life, right, Rain? Rain?
Yes, we are, Jenna.
Okay, we've gone to lunch. We text.
Jenna, do you need affirming?
Can I get this in writing?
Affirming?
No. Okay. No, that we're all friends in real life, and that we shared so much of our lives doing this show for so long. I remember that your wife Holiday was pregnant with your son when we were shooting the pilot.
Yes.
And then I remember how you born during an episode, but Rain, I couldn't remember which episode it was we were shooting.
Walter was born during the Hot Girl first girl episode.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
So they shot me out the first 2 days. They just were like, oh, we'll just shoot all rain scenes on Monday and Tuesday. And then sure enough, late Tuesday night, Walter was born, and it was a horrific, really difficult birth. And we were in the hospital emergency room and all that kind of stuff. You can read about that in my book, The Bassoon King.
Did read about it in your book.
Available now. No, I wasn't talking to you two. I was talking to all the listeners.
Listeners, if you want the full story, you can read about it. Get Rain's King. The Bassoon King.
Yeah.
It's a very good book.
So that was kind of crazy, and then I had a couple of days off, and
But we shot it.
Monday.
We shot out of order. Yeah. So because that Hot Girl is the last episode that airs for season 1, but we shot it in the middle. Healthcare was actually the last episode that we shot, and you had a little tiny Walter while you were shooting this episode.
Yeah.
And I remember you had to come back to work Monday. You only had what?
We were so
like
tired.
5 days off after he was born.
We spent the whole weekend in the hospital. My wife was in the hospital for like 4 or 5 days, so we went home from the hospital maybe Sunday night or even that Monday morning, and I came to work on Monday.
Came to work.
Oh my God.
And I remember being worried. I remember just being concerned
I hope that you guys are okay.
just emotionally with them.
Yeah, everything worked out great. She's great. Walter's great. All aces.
It's all aces. I remember the first time I met your wife was on when we were filming the pilot, and I remember how you introduced me to her. I'll never forget it. You said, this is my wife, carrier of my seed.
That's such a Dwight thing to say.
We were like, oh, nice to meet you. And she was like, yeah, hi, I'm Holly.
The line blurs. Yeah, it definitely blurs between me and Dwight. And I think the line blurs between all of us and our characters.
Oh, yeah.
In some regard.
For sure.
Rain, thank you so much for talking with us on our podcast.
Hey, this was great. I love the healthcare episode, and if you'll invite me back, I'll come into the studio and we can sit down and high five with iced tea.
Yes,
Let's do that.
And you guys, we have to all check out Rain's new podcast, Metaphysical Milkshake.
Yep.
And Rain, that is on what? Where do we find that?
It's on Luminary. Download the Luminary app, and it'll be right on that Luminary app.
Well, I can't wait to listen, Rain. I love you so much. Thank you.
We love you.
I love you guys and miss you. I'm so happy you're doing this podcast, and the fans are just going to love it.
I hope so.
All right, Rain. Okay, come back. Okay, we love you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Why is it every time we talk to someone from the show, I want to start to cry? Like I'm like tearing up a little.
I don't know. I think it's just that those relationships are so fundamental to us.
Yes.
They are like family. And it's a crew member, it's a cast member.
It doesn't matter. It's just such a special chapter in our lives. And just hearing Rain's voice and him laughing at you and I being chatty, it just brought me straight back. Rain, thank you so much for coming on. That just made my day.
Angela, I want to talk about something that was one of our other most popular questions, and it came from a fan, and it's something I was wondering about as well. When I watched this episode, it has to do with the accounting department.
Okay.
So this is for you.
Okay.
Paige O'Murphy asked, I love how you get to see the start of the dynamic between the accounting department and healthcare. And this is when you're leaving the conference room and you say, you let him walk all over you. And
I'm like, did you talk to him?
Did you talk to him?
What was that? I'm like, he's pathetic.
You let him walk all over you.
And Kevin's like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, nothing, Kevin.
Okay, so her question is, how much of that was you guys improvising and how much was written? This is to me like the quintessential accounting department dynamic.
Yes, this is on my note card because to me this really defined our corner, this moment.
Yeah, so let's watch it and then I want to hear the real story.
Oh God.
It's not good.
It's ridiculous. Did you talk to him?
What was that?
You let him walk all over you. It's just pathetic.
What are you guys talking about?
Nothing, Kevin. There it is. There it is. Okay, so
So we improvised that. And here's the thing that I learned really quickly on this show, and I learned it from our B camera operator, Matt Zone.
okay.
Matt was like, Ange, if you guys have bits, make them quick and they have a chance of getting in the show. And so we had this moment where we were all walking back to our desks, and Oscar and I kind of improvised this moment where I'm like, did you talk to him? He's like, what was that? And then we kind of just had this chit chat on the way, and our B camera operator got it, and he was like, guys, if you tighten that up, it's going to make it, it'll make it in, I think, if you tighten it up. So we did. We had this back and forth, and then of course, like, I had no idea that Brian was already walking up behind us, and so he was like, what are you talking about? So I was just like, nothing, Kevin. And it just sort of crystallized that, like, Oscar and I have this like weird sort of like office like dysfunctional marriage in a way,
Yeah.
and that Kevin is like our child, that we're like, just stay out of it, leave him out of it. And it was just so fun that it made it in for us. That was really fun.
How did that dynamic come together? Because I know you guys would have to get stuck in the background. We've established that, but for real, you did. And I know you guys are all comedic improv performers.
Well, Oscar and I had done a show together. We met well before The Office. I've talked about this before. We had done a sketch show together called Hot Towel, and we'd known each other a long time. We had done The Groundlings together, and I think we just naturally fell into step with one another. I knew my character was always annoyed. That was
your default.
My baseline is I was always annoyed, and then just the way that Brian did Kevin, he seemed a little bit like the idiot.
Yeah, he was.
So pretty much if I had anyone I could go to about something, it was Oscar. And I was always annoyed, and I was always going to him, and he never had the answers I wanted. And then I just didn't want to even talk to Kevin. So that just sort of like came about naturally, I think. And Oscar and I just picked up on all those cues.
Well, I love that Greg and the directors gave our camera operators the license to pick up moments that they hadn't even been directed to pick up. Yeah, like they would keep one eye open on everything that was happening in the background. And especially Matt, his job was to catch reactions and to catch these little moments that were happening off of the main action. And Matt went on to direct episodes in later seasons.
Yes, he did. And our director of this episode, Ken Whittingham, was so great about letting us have that creative opportunity. So when he saw us do that as we walked away, he was like, yeah, keep doing that.
Yeah.
So he encouraged us, and then, we used to joke that we would have just kept going and going. And so I'd be like, I would say all the time to Brian and Oscar, it's not our show, guys. It's not our show. It's not our show. And then we had this whole like running bit that we did for years that there was an actual spinoff called Las Cantadores, Oscar, Angela, y Kevin, and it lived on Telemundo. That was our spinoff.
Angela, that is actually a really good idea for a spinoff.
Just
The Accountants.
The Accountants.
And Creed.
The Accountants and Creed.
Well, I just think Creed has to work in every office.
Yes.
Somehow, right?
Yes.
Like he's always there.
I actually would like Creed to be in
I
every
need a
project.
phone number. I need to call someone at
Who are you
NBC.
calling?
I don't know. I think this is gold.
I actually would like Creed to just show up in every project I have for the rest of my life. Also, he texted me this morning and he really wants to come on the show. So
Well, he's coming on the show.
yeah, that's happening.
I know exactly what episode too.
Oh, you've got it all figured out.
Yeah, he needs to come on for the Halloween episode, which is the first episode that he speaks.
No, Jenna, that is not the first episode that he speaks in.
What?
Yeah, lady, I'll look at my note card. He has a few lines in this episode of healthcare.
What? Creed does not speak in healthcare.
Yes, he does.
No, he does not.
Lady, you have to listen. Okay, so you know the scene when Michael calls the Lackawanna the coal mine?
Yes.
For he's calling because he's like, hey, is there some kind of ride there? And there's a voice that's like, well, it's an industrial elevator. It goes 300 feet into the ground. Really slowly.
Yes.
And Michael's like, what is there, a laser tag down there? And he's like, nope. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
It's Creed.
What?
Yes.
The voice of the coal miner guy is Creed?
Yeah.
No way.
Well, between the two of us, I'm sure someone out there caught this, but I was watching this episode with my daughter, and she was like, Mommy, that voice sounds familiar. And I was like, does. The voice of the man that works at the coal mine sounded familiar to us. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Creed.
It's Creed.
And I texted Creed and he said, yeah, I was so excited. He said that Ken Quapis, who was a friend of his, who was our director, he said, Creed, why don't you read this? And Creed did, and they were really happy with it. And he really felt like that helped him sort of down the line for Halloween because they already thought he was funny.
And he is so funny.
He's so funny. And
His timing is perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
But I want you to know, I said, Creed, oh my gosh, so that was your first speaking part on The Office was as that coal miner guy.
Yeah.
And he goes, no.
What?
I know.
What? This
I
is
know.
episode 3.
I know you don't know this. And I'm bouncing in my chair because you don't know this. Okay. The actual first time that Creed ever spoke was in Diversity Day.
What?
Yes. So at the time they needed some banter, and our first AD did not realize that Creed wasn't a series regular and didn't have a contract.
That he was just a background
Just a
player. And
background-
you're literally like that. The contract for background player is you are not allowed to speak. If you
Yes.
speak, there's a big bump in pay.
And they have to pay you.
Yeah.
Creed said the AD said to him, can you fill in some banter with Phyllis? And Creed was like, you know me, Ange, I'm not shy. That's what he said. So he has this banter with Phyllis, and it made it in the episode. And then they realized they wanted to use it, but Creed wasn't officially under contract. So then they paid him, and that is actually his first line.
Well,
But
my
yeah, so
mind is blown.
Your mind is blown because Creed actually had an improv line in Diversity Day that made it in the show, and that is the first time he spoke. The second time he spoke was the elevator shaft operator guy on the phone with
Yes.
Michael. And then Halloween, as we will get to, is his big, big moment.
Yes. Oh, that is some good stuff.
That was a good note card, lady.
Very good note card.
Okay.
Okay, Angela, well, I have trivia. I have trivia. Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know.
I have trivia.
I'm feeling very smug with my,
You are.
my Creed trivia.
Well, it was really good. All right, here's mine. You know the scene when Michael goes to the travel agent where he wants to try to get us the all expense paid trip to Atlantic City?
Yeah.
Where he says the thing about like, isn't there like a bus that takes you there and then you get all your meals comped?
Everything's free.
Everything's free. And the travel agent is like, yeah, I don't really know anything about that. You might want to just contact
The casino.
the casino directly. Do you know who played the travel agent?
Is it his friend from college, Charlie Hartsock?
Damn it, Angela.
I remember that. I remember Steve was really excited because his friend from, like his good friend was going to be on set that day.
You weren't there that day.
I wasn't, Jenna, but Steve is my friend and he shared with me.
Yeah. All right. Well, what else have you got? You got more note cards over there.
You know what, Jenna, when I was watching this, I was like, oh my gosh, this episode in particular, I felt like we really saw that peep shot. And I know we're going to talk about it.
The spy shot, Angela?
I call it the peep shot.
Well,
Hey,
please don't call it that to anyone else. It's called the spy shot.
Well, you just called
We're spying. We're not peeping.
Excuse me, you call the background actors lurkers. So we're lurking and we're peeping. Okay, but
Wow.
it's just that shot where you go through the blinds, right?
Yeah.
And we saw that a lot in this episode because Michael is hiding. He
Yeah.
is hiding in his office. And one of my favorite ones, when you're being sassy, the
Oh
Pam,
my gosh,
the
this
Pam
is a
sass.
peep and a sass.
It's a peep and a Pam sass. So we're looking through the blinds, and Michael is just playing with his truck. He's
Yeah.
rolling the truck
And
back
he's
and
claiming
forth.
that there's many calls coming
Yeah,
in.
busy. And Pam goes, still no one calling.
Yeah.
Still no one calling.
It's matter of fact. You find matter of factness to be sass.
No, I think there's a little bit of sass on it. But yeah, so I love that you got to see how we spy on people through the camera, that we get to see these moments they don't know that we're seeing.
Yeah.
And you'll see it over and over. But when I watched the BBC version of this show, and then when I watched our version, those were the only shows doing that at this time.
We were really trying to employ what you would do on an actual documentary where you want to like catch people when they're not aware they're being filmed. And we behave differently when we are being know we're being filmed or not.
And so we would use the spy shot when we needed to catch people.
Or the peep shot. Okay.
Or the peep shot, as Angela is calling it.
Moving
All right,
on.
next card.
Two observations about John in this episode. The first one has to do with his hair. John has a full-on bowl haircut in this.
What?
Yes. Sam, can you pull up a picture of John in this to show Jenna? I grew up in a small town, and some of these farm boys, they would just put a bowl on their head and cut their hair around it.
What was that about?
I don't know. Look at that.
Oh,
Look at that.
it's 14 minutes and 19 seconds.
That's
full bowl.
Full bowl. Okay. And then the other thing I noticed about John is that John says D White.
He does say
He says
D White.
I say Dwight. I say Dwight.
He said, well, he doesn't say D White. He says DeWhite.
Dwight. Okay.
DeWhite.
John says D White. D White.
DeWhite.
Dwight. Oh my God. John says Dwight. And I say Dwight.
I say Dwight.
Mhm.
Dwight.
I absolutely love it now because it just makes me miss John. And every time I hear him say Dwight, it just makes me smile. So there are my two John observations.
I have an observation about Jim
Okay.
in this episode, which is, and actually a fan pointed this out as well. I had noticed it, but I will give some props to the other person who noticed it. Except I don't have their name written down. I'm sorry. Person out there, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Which is that all of this could have been avoided if Jim had just taken 15 minutes and picked a plan.
No, I know. No,
The way he was asked in the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
I mean, he ends up having this fun, playful day with Pam, but if we're going to get real here, it cost him and everyone else in the office decent health care. On the other hand, in his defense, I will say, the task was to slash the health care. So I'm not sure he could have done much better than Dwight, but maybe he could have.
Well,
Does that make him kind of not as charming? I don't know.
well, I think what
This
happens,
is an argument.
I think what happens in this show is that Michael passes the buck to Jim, and Jim passes it to Dwight, and it happens over and over.
It does.
It does, and Jim is just like, listen, I don't get paid enough to do this.
Yeah, well, and I think the argument really can't be made that Jim knew it was inevitable. Like, what we ended up with is what we were going to end up with. Although the other argument can be made that Dwight made it worse than it needed to be.
Okay, I have another note card.
Okay.
Okay, here it is. So one of the things I love about our props department is just all the little details in the back. And a great example of this is all of the motivational posters that you see around Dunder Mifflin. There's so many.
They're brilliant.
They're brilliant. I like to think that like Michael Scott really thinks they're going to get everyone to like feel affirmed in their day. So, there's one behind you in reception that just says teamwork.
Yep.
And it's a bunch of people that jumped out of a plane and they're all locking arms.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. These are all over the office. So at 15 minutes, 50 seconds around there, it flashes to the clock on the wall. And under the clock, you just see it says self-affirmations, self-esteem. And then you can't see what else it says, but I'm like, what is under the clock? What are all these self-affirmations?
The detail work in our set design was incredible. And that was Michael Gallenberg. He was our set designer.
He was so amazing.
And so many details. And then the props department would, anytime there was some sheet of paper that we had to look at as a prop, it was a fully formed idea. If there was a memo, they wrote out like a whole real fake memo, and they were
Dunder
funny.
Mifflin stationery.
There's always funny little jokes hidden in them.
And also all around the office, if you're in the break room, the menus, the magnets on the fridge, they're all from Scranton.
Yeah.
They reached out to local businesses in Scranton, and they all sent their items, and they're all throughout our office. Also, of course, Froggy 95.5.
Yes.
Local Scranton radio. That's what should be your playlist. You should have just listened to some Froggy.
I really should have. All right. This episode ends with Michael coming out of his office. He's successfully hidden in his office until 5 p.m., after 5 p.m., and the entire office is waiting to confront him, both about the horrible healthcare plan that Dwight picked and to finally find out, please, what is the surprise? Because he's come in attempting to surprise us with ice cream sandwiches.
Oh, he about hit me in the head with an ice cream sandwich. I mean, Steve actually like the look on his face after that take. He was like, Ange, so how close did that come? I was like, Steve, you pretty much almost hit me in the head with it. And he also announced so proudly, Operation Surprise. Yes. And so we're like, okay, what is it? What is it? And it's all he could come up with in his whole day was ice cream sandwiches. So now it's the end. And then he says that's not the surprise. It's surprising, but it is not the surprise. So at the end of the episode, you confront him. I do. I love it. I loved being the person that confronted him because Steve is so funny, and he turned to me and he's like, yes, Angela. Like, thank you for reminding me. So you ask him point blank, what is the surprise, Michael? And then he says, the surprise is. And then he short circuits. He just stops talking. He just stops talking, and it just starts to have like upper lip sweat. Yeah. And we all are just looking at him. It is so awkward. It's so awkward. And I remember when we did it, like timing it out to that moment where we start to like slowly leave each person. Yes. And how long that felt. Yes, it felt so long. It really did as we were standing there. And they had choreographed the order in which we would leave. Mm-hmm. And of course we did many takes, so we would have to come back and reset. And I remember thinking, are we going to leave this? This is a giant pause with no dialogue. Is this going to be able to stand? Because that was not something you did on television shows. In fact, on television shows, especially comedies, it was pretty traditional to have like set up, joke, set up, joke. And this was like a whole different rhythm. And so, yeah, I remember this, and I remember he just had to stand there. Oh, it was so awkward. And then when you watch it, it's so like cringy, but it's perfect. It's perfect. It's so good. And there's so many times, like when I watch episodes of The Office, where I'm like, how does Michael come back from that? Like I say that to myself, like how does he come back the next day? And we all knew there was no surprise. We all knew, but man, we made him suffer through that pause. And then best last line ever. After that suffering silence, Rain says, oh, Jan wants you to call her. So good. So good. Aw, that's healthcare, guys. That is healthcare. Thank you so much, Rain Wilson, for calling in. And it was just so great to hear your voice. And guys, if we missed anything, remember, you can write us at officeladies@earwolf.com and just put the episode name in the subject line so that we can easily sort through things. Put the episode in the subject line or Jenna's going to be ticked off. I won't be ticked off. You're going to get some Pam sass. You're going to get some Pam sass. You might get Pam sass. Oh, I'm just going to go listen to the sounds of script. I'll be right back. I'll see you guys next week. See you next week when we do The Alliance. The Alliance. Oh, there's so much good stuff in that one. Not to be missed. Not to be missed. Thank you for listening to Office Ladies. Office Ladies is produced by Earwolf, Jenna Fisher, and Angela Kinsey. Our producer is Cody Fisher. Our sound engineer is Sam Kiefer. And our theme song is Rubber Tree by Creed Bratton. Remember, you can listen to ad-free versions of Office Ladies on Stitcher Premium. For a free month of Stitcher Premium, use code OFFICE. Different lower shelf. I don't know if you like look at all that and I'm like, oh, his arm. Like the furniture in his office keeps changing. This is a super nerdy thing for me to notice, but I mean, I don't notice bobbleheads, but if you're gonna notice a major story point, if you're gonna move a cabinet, I'm gonna notice. So the next big sort of plot point scene is Rain asking Jim if he wants to form an alliance. And this produced one of our inside joke lines. Mm-hmm. He asks him if he wants to form an alliance, and Jim pauses, and then he says, absolutely, I do. Yeah. And we used to say that to each other on the set. That used to be a thing. Absolutely, I do. I love this so much because it's just like Jim finally gets to have fun at work. This is like one of his favorite days, you would think, right? Like, because otherwise it's just the monotony of it all. And Dwight does drive him crazy. And he talks about how crazy that Dwight makes him, and he finally gets to like really mess with him at Dwight's invitation. That is the best. He has that talking head where he says, sometimes it's just handed to you. I mean, you're thinking, how can I mess with this guy? And then here this wonderful gift comes. So after they decide to form the alliance,
he says, don't tell anyone. You can't tell anyone. Right. Jim's like, of course not. And then Jim immediately comes up to the reception desk and tells me that he's formed an alliance with Dwight. Right. And you see Dwight hovering in the background, listening in, and he wants to get Jim away from me. So he has this line where he's like, Jim, can I talk to you about the paper products? So I listened to the DVD commentary of this. Yeah. And I guess in that scene, they have a bunch of takes where Rain, every time he would change the end of the line. And I think it was Mike Schur said his favorite alt of that was, hey, Jim, can I talk to you about the he just like mumbled something that you couldn't even hear. I love that. I also loved like John Krasinski as Jim. Just, you could just see John, I think because we know him, having so much fun. You know, like when they go into like the kitchen and John's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm working her. You know, like he's like, I'm on this, okay? Like I just saw John, like our friend John, having so much fun in that moment, and it just made me smile. It's so cute, the whole way that he is winding Dwight up in this episode. It happens again where he goes into the kitchen where he's supposed to be spying on Toby and Kevin, who are having lunch. Oh my God, that conversation is the most ridiculous, like amazing, boring conversation. Yes, and that produced another most frequently quoted inside joke line on The Office, which is when they're talking about the bread, and then John's take on that line, he says, their bread is very good. Very good. We would do that all the time. And then here you are, the bread maker. Oh my gosh, full circle life moment. Guys, my bread is very good. Thank you. We cannot not talk about the fact of how eagerly Pam is to join in Jim's prank and becomes a huge participant, like in pulling this prank on Dwight. Oh, yes. Yes. Well, this is their opportunity to spend time together. Any opportunity to team up with Jim. I mean, in the deleted scene, we established that the phone rings very infrequently. Yeah, which we could probably have guessed anyway. This is so much fun for her. She is having so much fun, and Jim is just loving it. And his talking head about like how brilliant you were that you just Pam came up with that all on her own. Yeah, when I come to his desk and I'm like all fraught with it. Oh, I just don't know. Michael's told me so many things, and I want to unload all these secrets, but he told me not to. And I'm doing that all so that Dwight can overhear it. Dwight's like, jackpot. But Jim is just so enamored with Pam in this scene. And you know what? I'm a Jam fan, you guys. I am. And I love their storyline. I was just like a total fan of them. And I remember like every little nugget they had together. I was like, oh my God. And this is definitely one of those episodes. Should we take a break? I don't know. Do you want to take a break? Please take us to a break. Oh my God. We're back. All right. So another big part of this episode is Oscar baiting Michael into donating to his nephew's walkathon charity. But Michael sort of not getting what a walkathon is, and so he puts in this big bid. And this is an example also of the benefit of the documentary crew element of the show, because you can tell at first when Oscar walks into his office and asks him if he'll donate to his nephew's charity, he doesn't want to. Like he would, if the cameras weren't there, he would probably say no. Right. But he can't say no. He wants to look like a good guy. He wants to look like a good guy. And so then he goes over the top and he donates $25. And only later is it brought to his attention that it's $25 per mile. Yes, exactly. And that realization happens in a great scene with Jim at the birthday party, and there is just this long pause. I'll tell you what, Steve Carell is better than anyone at letting an emotion wash across his face, and you watch that emotion of like, oh crap, like just like, oh, what did I do, like go across his face. And I feel like we see this again in Fun Run, right? Because he like signs up to do like so many miles and he doesn't realize what is something about Michael does not understand the concept of a walkathon or anything like that. But no, that is so good. Well, I added it up because in the in the episode, Michael, once he realizes it's per mile, he asks Oscar, like, hey, how strong is your nephew? Like, is he in good shape?
They did 18
18 miles. So Michael has pledged $450. I did the math. He thinks he's pledged 25, but instead he pledged $450. I also need to go back. I skipped something that I think is really a fun thing. In the parking lot, there's a scene where
I know
Jim
what you're
and
gonna
Dwight,
say.
what am I going to say?
It was Phyllis's car.
It was Phyllis's
Yes.
car.
Yes.
Jim and Dwight are standing next to a car and they are comparing notes about everybody in the office and what they've learned. And they're standing next to a car and it's Phyllis's car.
Yes.
And Rain, as Dwight, keeps kicking the car.
Yeah.
And Phyllis,
She didn't care for it.
she was very nervous about it. And I guess at some point she went up to Rain and said, listen, it's totally fine if you kick my car, but don't kick the car or the hubcap, just the tire.
Just the tire. We used to park our cars in that little parking lot.
Yeah.
And
A
then
lot of our real cars
Yes.
have appeared as cars.
in the show. And then in seasons later, they had us move our cars. I think maybe they realized there's like liability or something. I mean, but in those early days, those were our cars.
A very, very big element of this episode is the point where Dwight ends up in a box in the warehouse to spy. And more than any other question, when I put this out to fans for questions, the most questions that we got, the most frequently asked questions were about this box.
Right.
How long was Rain in the box? How many takes did we do? How many boxes did we use?
Right.
One of the questions was, there's a scene where Pam is on the phone doing a fake phone call and the box kind of tips over
Wait,
and I laugh and run off.
Wait,
Is this a note card?
I have a note card about this.
What is
I
it?
want to. Okay, I know you put it out to Twitter, but this is your BFF, so I get
Okay.
to. Can I
You get
ask
the
you
first
first?
question.
Okay. Jenna, question.
Yes.
Semicolon. Did you really break and laugh by the box? I think you did because I know what happens to your shoulders when you really laugh.
This was the question. This is the question that people want to know. I think I faked it.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I really broke.
I don't want to believe that.
I know. I think because I remember shooting that scene and I remember it was very technical.
Okay.
So it was happening over my shoulder. Stuff was happening over my shoulder, but there was a way where they wanted me to break at a certain moment. So it was kind of technical.
So you had to sort of get out of the way. The box was tipping.
Yes, exactly. So I remember shooting it a number of times and I remember thinking to myself, gosh, does this even look real? Like, it's a really, there are two things that I think are really hard to do when you're acting. One of them is cry,
Right.
but I think people would expect that. But the other is to laugh convincingly.
Yes. Do you know who has the best fake laugh? Is Steve Carell. Steve Carell can do this fake laugh that is the most honest, genuine laugh. And every time he would do it, I would start to laugh, even though I knew it was a fake laugh. It was so contagious. He is the best at it. I find it's easier to cry than to fake laugh myself.
Fake laughing is
For
very
acting.
difficult. It is. The reason I think that I didn't really break is because I remember having anxiety over whether or not anyone was going to buy it.
Jenna, I have a little something on my note card here.
What is
I
it?
have another note card. I wrote, this is the first time we see Daryl.
Yes. Yes. When Rain pops out of the box at the end, Daryl is down there. Now, he is not going to have a big scene. We're not going to hear him speak until the next episode, which is basketball.
Yes, but that is the first time we see Daryl, so I was very excited.
I know.
And look, my note card came in handy.
I love that about her. I love how we plant seeds that grow later.
Right.
We don't, that is a person who is going to be a major character on the show, but we introduce him just as a guy seeing the rain come out of the box.
Yeah, that is one of the things, and I know we say it over and over, and we will for the life of this podcast, but one of the things I love about what Greg Daniels did is he starts in the middle. He doesn't like spoon feed you information. Just the way they design the show, you play catch up as an audience member. You're just like a day in the life and you're right in the middle. And
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, I love that too.
Okay.
Here's a big confession about the box. This is going to blow your mind.
What?
Rain wasn't in the box most of the time. Who was in the box?
Who's in the box? Who's in the box? Phil Shea, our
Prop
props.
guy.
Yeah.
Phil Shea.
Yeah.
Phil Shea is a very tall person.
Yeah, well, so is Rain.
And he was in that box the whole
Yes.
time.
So most of the box acting was done by Phil Shea, of course, except for the end where Rain busts out and comes. So in that scene where I'm cracking up,
Yes.
Phil Shea was in the box.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I think we should do, Angela?
Tell me, Jenna.
I think we should call Phil Shea and get him to answer all of our questions
Let's
about
do
the
it.
box. What was it like in the box?
Phil Shea, we are about to blow up your phone.
Oh. Phil?
Yes.
Phil Shea, it's Jenna and Angela.
Hi, Phil.
Oh, hey guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you so much for letting us call and bug you.
It's always a pleasure to help out Pam and Angela.
Oh my gosh.
Phil, thank you so much.
It's just so nice to hear your voice.
That's
I have
what
to
I
say.
was thinking. I was like, gosh, it's so nice to hear your voice.
Hey, what an experience we had for 9 years, right?
Yes, we were
Yeah.
the luckiest. We were the luckiest. Well, if you have a second, Phil, can we ask you some questions from the Alliance episode?
Absolutely.
So we opened up questions to the fans, and the overwhelmingly the thing people wanted to know about was the box that Rain gets into in the warehouse. So
Oh my God.
they wanted to know how long he was in the box, everything about the box. But Phil, I know you were in the box.
Rain only got in after all the shooting and the scooching and the
Oh my
sliding and then the
gosh.
tumbling was done. Yeah.
Phil, you
And,
did all of that in the box? You were the scoocher and the tumbler and all that?
I was. Apparently, Mr. Zapornak, our line producer, didn't think we had enough money to hire a stunt guy, so he assigned me to be in the box. And I remember I had to go out and buy my own elbow pads and knee pads.
Oh,
And then I had a loose walkie-talkie in there with me with Liz Ryan, the first AD,
Yes.
shouting out all with Brian Gordon, who was our director for that episode of Command. I remember like it was yesterday.
so Phil, can you take me through it from the beginning? You get a script and it says this character has to be in a box. So what do you do? Because you're in charge of getting the box as the prop master. So where do you start?
On that particular prop, I sought out Greg Daniels and I said, do you see Rain sitting down squatting in the box, or is he kneeling down on his knees? And he said kneeling on his hands and knees. So
And,
then
and Rain is tall. Rain is tall, right? And so are you, Phil. You're very tall.
Yeah, Rain is I think 6'1" or 6'2", and I'm 6'1" if I blow dry my hair. So
You do have great hair. You guys should know, Phil has an amazing head of hair.
He really does. This is true.
I leased it. It's a Hollywood vacation. But I tracked Rain down and I asked him to get on his hands and knees. I was measuring up to this box.
Wait, you made Rain get on his hands and knees and you measured him to know how big
That
a...
was season 1. Rain was willing to do anything. Then I went to a couple box cities around Southern California. No one had a box close to that. And I went on to the internet and I looked at box manufacturers in Southern California. I found a company in San Diego named Kent Landsberg. And you have to understand, as prop people, we have a very short production time and lead time to get all these props. So I called this Kent Landsberg paper company and asked to speak to the manager. And in a much more frenetic and hyper voice, I said, look, you gotta help me out. I have to have a custom box made. I probably need about 100 of them. And then you can use this
gosh.
dimension.
And San Diego's like 3 hours away, too.
Well, and also, that's such a good point. You didn't need one box. You needed 100 boxes because you didn't know how many takes we were going to do. And Brian Gordon, the director of this episode, ended up being notorious for doing
many
tons of takes. So you were right to cover your bases and get 100.
Yes.
Right, and we shot that scene in the Duncan warehouse. We wanted to have some boxes on the shelves, and that was.
Oh, right, just ones that he didn't bust out of.
Yeah.
Right,
Of course.
It wasn't a prop box; it just appeared out of nowhere. So we had to get just to see where it originated from.
Look at all the detail. Look at all the details.
So how did you
that goes
do
into
it? So how'd you do it? This guy said he would do it, no problem. And then how'd you get them?
Well, I talked to him. He said the lead time is usually a month and a half. I said,
Oh,
we
no.
have 4 days.
Oh, no.
I said, I need the boxes in 4 days. And I said, it was for a TV show. I said, it's for The Office. It's a remake of the British version.
And he probably said, I'm sorry, I'm a huge fan of the British version and I'm not
I've
interested
never
in
heard of
helping
your
you.
show. Yeah.
It's
like you guys were listening into the phone call. Exactly. No, he said he would be glad to make an exception for a TV show, so he made it happen. We got the boxes delivered to Culver City, which is where we shot that episode in our first season. And then they put the graphics on the box, and we had them back 2 days before we were filming. So we had it all done, and they fit in the box fine, and it was just about coordinating where the holes would be inserted by making them inside the box with Dwight's Swiss Army knife, and it was a great scene. I mean, I remember we shot that down. I think it was a Friday night we shot that scene, but it was fun. Everybody was laughing. The crew was always laughing on that show, and it was a great scene. And the fans loved it so much.
Oh, Phil, thank you so much.
I'm looking at a picture that I emailed you that Michael Gallagher gave me. I'm going to send you a picture as soon as we hang up of me getting ready to take him the fifth box. And I don't know if you have
Oh my gosh.
the picture on the podcast, but
This guy was in a box. Jesus
put it on our
Christ. Let's
website,
suck his dick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh my God. What a box. Oh my God. How many holes did you make in the box?
You were like in a sweat
Jesus,
lodge.
what's this,
Oh,
Army knife?
Phil, thank
To
you.
make the holes?
Jenna, you were there, and you remember
Did
the
they use
last
real
take Brian
cardboard
Gordon said one
in
more. I
San
hope you
Diego
remember this.
to make the box?
He had me do all this stuff, and then when I cut myself out of the box, everybody had went and hid.
Oh,
Remember, I came
that's
out of
right.
the warehouse, and
We-
so he played a practical joke on me at the end to make me laugh, and that's pretty funny.
We did. We left you in the box and we pretended like we were still filming, and then you just were there for so long. That is horrible. That is kind of horrible. Why were we so mean?
Phil, I would have, if I was there, Phil, I would have come up and said, Phil, get out. They left.
It was so funny. No,
It was very
a great scene.
Phil, can I throw 2 questions at you really quickly before we let you go?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So after getting this box sounds like it was a massive undertaking. Phil, your job is sounding really fun. Like you read an episode and then you have to come up with all these weird objects and gags.
Make a call
It
with
sounds
San
fun
Diego
and
and sit in
stressful,
the
Phil.
box.
Like how do you get 100 boxes in 4 days?
It's always fun, it's always stressful, and it's great to be, like I said, a small part of the production that resonates with viewers and fans across generations that The Office did. So it's fun, it is stressful, but it's a real joy to do it. And everybody laughs, and everybody enjoys the product, and it adds a little value to the scripted scene, and then we all go home and have a good day.
Yeah. Well, we sure appreciate you, and we are going to be calling you a lot, the office ladies. So thank you. Thanks for taking the time, Phil.
I can't believe it, and there's all the props
I
of the office, so anytime you guys want to call me.
Can we? Okay, because
Anytime.
as you were talking, I had like 8 questions about different episodes down the road. So
I did too.
we will definitely be calling you back, Phil. Thank you so much.
We miss
Yeah,
you.
let's keep Dunder Mifflin going. I miss you as well. Let's keep Dunder Mifflin relevant for the next 30 years.
Yay! All right, Phil. Well, have a good day.
Yeah, tell everyone we stay over there.
Okay.
I will. Thanks, Angela.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Shut the fuck
What's next, Jenna?
Well-
3 note cards left.
Well, now we need to talk about the cake.
You
Oh,
big shit.
yes.
The ice cream, the mint chocolate chip ice cream cake.
Let's talk about
Yes.
that.
I got so sick reading that cake. This is the second most frequently asked question was about the cake and what the cake was like and did we really eat the cake?
Oh, we
Let's
ate
talk
that
about
cake, you guys. And guess what? You start filming. We would start filming at 7:30 a.m. So
Yeah.
at 7:30 a.m., you're gonna eat ice cream cake,
Someone hands you a plate of ice cream cake at 7:30 a.m.
and you're gonna eat it for 5 hours.
all day. And
All
then
day.
they're like, let's break for lunch.
And you're like, I want to puke.
Yeah. Let me say something about prop food.
Oh, do it.
BJ Novak loves prop food.
Mindy Kaling loves prop food.
I also kind of like it. I get real excited when I have to snack in a scene.
I do not because I know it's gonna turn on me.
I know, and it
gonna
turns on
turn.
me every time,
Every
and I
time.
still make the same mistakes.
Every time I would see Ed Helms, Minnie Kaling, you, BJ, be like, "Ooh, prop food," and get so excited.
Yeah,
Be
like we would-
guys,
we
pace
would-
yourself.
I
It's gonna
know.
get gross.
We'd have a party in the conference room, and they'd have like pigs in a blanket, and me and BJ would be over there.
I'd be like, guys, slow down.
No,
You're gonna have to eat that for 4 hours.
I know. Well, this was the first time
that I made the mistake, and I started wolfing down ice cream cake.
And then you have to match that in every shot. So
Yes.
whatever you do in that first shot, you then have to match it. So continuity-wise, it all makes sense.
And here's the thing, I'm in the background of most
Oh,
of the ice
Lord,
cream
Jenna.
eating scenes.
What are you
So I
thinking?
was wolfing it down in the background.
She didn't have to. She was in the background.
I was in the background, and then by the time it was time for my close-up, I was so sick. I didn't want to eat the ice cream
Oh,
cake,
yeah.
but then I had to.
I'll tell you this. I had a slice, and Michael walks up to Phyllis and I, and when he walks up, poor Steve is like wolfing the cake down.
Oh, yeah.
As he's talking.
He would eat a full piece every take
Oh man, they eventually got a bucket though
that we could spit in.
which is also disgusting.
It's called a spit
It's
bucket.
called a spit bucket, but he would walk up eating the cake, and he was talking to Phyllis and Meredith and my character, and I was just going to take one bite as he walked up. And by the end of the 5 hours of doing the scene, when I would scoop up that one bite, my hand would start to shake because I was anticipating it. So I was like,
Yes, your body was rejecting
my body
it.
was rejecting it. It was like, please don't put that mint chocolate chip ice cream in your mouth one more time, ever again for the rest of your life.
I can't eat it.
I can't eat it.
I can't eat it now.
My daughter loves mint chocolate chip. I don't want it near me.
I loved ice cream cake in general.
No.
And it was last year for my son's 7th birthday, I finally ate a piece of ice cream cake again. But it had been like I'd gone on like a 15-year moratorium. So the final thing I think we should talk about with
let's
this
go
episode
on that note.
is the scene with Roy coming into the office and confronting Jim.
You guys are so busted. I remember like being over in accounting, being like, oh, and also David Denman can be scary when he wants
He
to
can be intimidating.
He's such a teddy bear in real life.
I know, he's
But
so snuggly.
When he came in like that,
He's
I
a
was
big
like,
guy.
He's a big guy, and I think he turns my character on because he's such a man. Like you see that play out later, where I'm clearly like enamored with Roy, but in that moment I was like, oh my god, Roy's gonna kick Jim's ass.
Yeah, your character Angela likes a beefy alpha male, for sure.
This man.
That's true. So I remember this scene. I remember breaking
hell
it down.
happened here?
We shot a ton of versions of this scene because we really didn't know how big of a reaction Roy should have. So the first thing I remember was that somehow in the scene when Jim and I are giggling about our accomplishment, we had to find a way to hold hands. That there had to be like
An organic way
where his arm is around me. There had to be something, because Roy has walked in the door before and seen Jim standing at reception talking to me. So we had to come up with this reason that John would come around the front of the desk.
He's so excited.
Yeah, he's so excited that he jogs around. So instead of coming up to me with the desk between us, which is what you've seen in the past, this was a big moment. He breaks that barrier. He comes around the desk. He puts his arm on me. We end up kind of holding hands and giggling. And I remember us really struggling to make sure that it looked real and organic and not staged. We didn't want to do something so out of the ordinary that you would be expecting something to happen.
Right.
And I think we accomplished it. And then when he burst in the door, there were a couple of takes where he pushed Jim up against a wall, where he like got really more physical with Jim. And so we shot all these different versions so that we could get it just right.
Right. And the version they went with is the best. I think if Roy had gotten too physical there, it just would have taken us all out of it because we'd be like, whoa. But I think just how ticked off he was. And then I thought John was brilliant in that moment. He was so believable when he was like, I don't even know how to explain this, because he realizes how ridiculous their whole day has been.
Yeah.
And how do you explain what they've been doing?
Yeah.
And they're so busted though. Like
I know.
it is a moment that made me totally cringe.
Yeah. And you know that Pam and Roy had words about that.
Oh, the car ride home.
The car.
Yes, car ride home.
That was a tough one.
My husband and I always talk about that. Like if we'll be like at a dinner party or something and you see like a couple have like an awkward exchange, I'll like lean over to my husband and be like, oof, car ride home. Car ride home. That's gonna be a rough one.
So that's it. That's the alliance. Can I say one more thing? I want to say one more thing. This episode has a special place in my family's life. Why? Because while we were shooting this episode, they got me out early so that I could go home for my sister's wedding, my real sister's wedding. I had to travel. So she got married while we were shooting this episode. And this year she celebrated her 15th wedding anniversary. Aww. Isn't that sweet? So when I was watching this, I remembered that.
That's like a fun full circle life moment too.
I know.
Well, this is the thing you guys are going to hear a lot as we do this podcast is, this show spanned 10 years of our lives, and so much life happens in those 10 years. And we really do have all these special memories of our own lives mixed in with what was happening on The Office. And I feel like it shows because we all became so invested in each other's lives. We are our own misfit family. Like the cast of the people that play the characters on The Office in real life have a lot of shared life moments and memories. And I think it just makes the show special to me. So when I watch it, I remember things too.
Yeah.
And it's just so, I love that you shared that. Yay. Okay. That was the alliance, everyone.
That's right.
Don't judge me for the bobblehead moment. Don't judge me. Jenna's already judging me enough. So just, you can rest.
I judged you, and then it was over because then you pointed out that great other fact about your outfit.
Thank you
so
very much.
You earned back my respect immediately.
Okay. So you guys, we would love to hear your questions, or if we get something wrong,
If we miss something,
we might miss a few things.
for sure. I mean,
We get chatty, Jenna. We get a little chatty.
and we miss things.
We miss things. So write us.
Yes, you can contact us at officeladies@earwolf.com. If you have questions about an episode, put the episode title in your subject line.
Do that for Jenna, please.
I like organization.
Please
That'll
do.
really help us organize your questions.
Please do that for Jenna, or
Or
she's
you
going
can
to call
even
me
put-
and vent.
You can put general Q&A if it's a general Q&A question. But if it's assigned to an episode, we want to make sure that we flag it for that episode. You know what else you can do?
What else, Jenna?
You can send us an audio memo.
Oh, yes, do that, because then we get to hear your voice, and it's
Yeah.
kind of fun. And can we play that in the episode?
I think we could.
You guys.
So we may.
There's so much fun
So
stuff.
there's a lot of options. That is officeladies@earwolf.com.
We sound official.
We really do. We've got an email.
We have an email. I'm excited.
Next week is basketball.
Basketball, one of my favorites. When we became best friends.
We became best friends
And
while
basketball.
shooting the basketball episode. We're going to tell you all
We'll
about
tell
it.
you all about it. All right, see ya.
See ya. Thank you for listening to Office Ladies. Office Ladies is produced by Earwolf, Jenna Fisher, and Angela Kinsey. Our producer is Cody Fisher. Our sound engineer is Sam Kiefer.
And our theme song is Rubber Tree by Creed Bratton. Remember, you can listen to ad-free versions of Office Ladies on Stitcher Premium. For a free month of Stitcher Premium, use code OFFICE.
Did you know that the bold, smooth taste of Dunkin' cold coffee can be brewed in your Keurig coffee maker and enjoyed at home?
You heard that right. Dunkin's cold K-Cup pods were crafted to be brewed hot and enjoyed cold.
Each Dunkin' cold K-Cup pod is packed with the smooth, bold Dunkin' flavor you crave.
Pick up a pack of Dunkin's cold K-Cup pods and enjoy a Dunkin' cold coffee at home whenever you crave it.
Just brew over ice and sip in seconds, because the home with Dunkin' is where you want to be. I'm Jenna Fisher.
And I'm Angela Kinsey.
We were on The Office together.
And we're best friends.
And now we're doing the Ultimate Office Rewatch podcast just for you.
Each week, we will break down an episode of The Office and give exclusive behind-the-scenes stories that only two people who were there can tell you.
We're the Office Ladies.
Oh my God, I'm here with my BFF.
We're going to do this.
This is so cool. We are hanging out talking about The Office. Jenna, who is the person you want to sit next to in any high school chemistry class, she is the note taker. You don't watch Game of Thrones, so you will miss this reference. You would be like, Jenna Fisher, first of her name, keeper of the notes, of the records.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I appreciate that.
Okay, well, you would be keeper of the notes. And she has made some really great notes, and we both went back and rewatched which episode, Jenna?
Today, we are discussing the basketball episode. This is season 1, episode 5. It was written and directed by Greg Daniels.
That's right.
Should we give it a synopsis of the episode?
I know you want to, Jenna. I wrote up the notes. I wrote it down. Do it, lady.
I wrote down a synopsis.
She did, y'all. She typed it out.
It is. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
In this episode, Michael challenges the guys in the warehouse to a basketball game against the upstairs sales staff. The warehouse workers, led by Daryl, want to make it a friendly game, but Michael insists there be a prize for the winner, or more accurately, a punishment for the losers. Michael suggests the losers have to work on Saturday, and then he taunts Daryl with chicken sounds until Daryl agrees. Correct. But things will get more interesting in this episode. That's not where it ends, Angela.
I know.
The drama does not end there.
There's another dun paragraph.
Yes, things get more interesting because Pam's fiance Roy works in the warehouse.
Oh, snap.
Yes. So we find out that she is caught between her office crush Jim and her actual fiance Roy. Who's she going to root for, upstairs or downstairs?
I don't know.
Let's start with some fast facts.
It is your favorite part.
You know it is. Fast fact number 1. This was Greg Daniels' directorial debut of The Office.
Not just any debut of directing.
Of all directing. So not just of The Office, but his debut. Now, he told me he had directed actors before for voices on The Simpsons and King of the Hill.
Right.
He created King of the Hill, for anyone who doesn't know
That's
that.
right.
But this was his first time doing on-camera directing. He would go on to direct 12 more episodes of The Office, but this was the first.
Yes. And I remember him showing up in his New Balance sneakers, his gray New Balance sneakers, and his like khaki pants. Greg always wears anything he got for free. So like his shirt might have said King of the Hill, his baseball hat might have said The Simpsons. Mindy Kaling used to joke he just wore all his swag all the time. But he showed up so giddy and excited. His enthusiasm and love for this show and this world and characters, it was just so contagious. I just loved it so much. It made me excited.
Fast fact number 2, this is the episode where we introduce the character of Daryl.
That's right.
Played by Craig Robinson. Now, we see him for the first time in The Alliance. He's watching Dwight bust out of the box, but this is the first time he speaks, and this is the first time we learn his character name.
Right. This establishes him as a character on the show.
Now, I was emailing with Allison Jones, our casting director, because I wanted to know, how did you find Craig Robinson? He is so amazing. And we knew that if the show went on, that this was a character who was going to recur, but who wasn't in the first couple of episodes. Greg had talked to me about how he was going to fill out the world of The Office, and we were going to really get to know some of the people down in the warehouse. He was going to introduce this character of Daryl as being one of Roy's friends, that they work in the warehouse together. And so Allison had to cast this person who we knew was going to recur, like Roy. She told me that she had seen him on a TV show called Lucky, right, that he did with John Corbett. So she said from there she had cast him in some small roles on Arrested Development and Curb Your Enthusiasm, because she also cast those shows. And she brought him in to audition for The Office. She's the reason why Craig ended up on our show.
And Craig was very sought after in comedy circles. Like, I feel like that was a really big get for us.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a huge comedian.
He's so funny and so talented
and so nice.
And so nice.
Why was everybody on our show so nice? I feel like they did us this wonderful service of casting really talented people, but who are all really nice to each other.
We were really lucky because we've both worked on other shows since
where it is not the case.
We're like, oh wow, we were really lucky.
Really, really lucky. Okay, are you ready for our last fast fact?
Yeah.
In the very early moments of this episode, you see the boom microphone dip down into frame.
Oh, look at you catching a little boom.
I did. Now, normally you would never allow this on television.
Right.
But on our show, this was considered gold. We kept this stuff in. Like, you never not used a take that was funny. It's
right.
Just because you saw the boom microphone or anything, any quote unquote mistake that would normally get cut out of another show.
Right.
We used it.
Because you want it to feel like the documentary.
Like an authentic documentary.
Right.
This was really important. So I thought that was kind of a cool little thing.
That is cool. Our boom operator was named Nick Carbone.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is when sometimes he would get the boom in the shot, we would yell, "You got carboned!
Carboned!
You got carboned!" And then we also started making up a song called Boom Shadow, Boom Shadow. Listen, young kids, Google it. That is an old song.
Angela, I have to share something else about Nick Carbone, our sound guy. So
okay.
Nick Carbone put a microphone on me every day for 9 years.
Yes, he did.
It's a very intimate thing to mic an actor. Oftentimes, I was in that pencil skirt.
Yeah.
And if I was standing up, we would sometimes have to put a leg wrap around my upper thigh to hide the microphone pack, and then very delicately weave a microphone wire through underneath my bra, up my blouse. And Nick Carbone was the person who did this every day.
For me too.
Yes.
Every day.
So a very intimate relationship you form with the person who mics you every day. Here's something that would happen though. Those leg wraps, they closed via Velcro.
Yes.
They were a Velcro leg wrap. And Pam wore pantyhose, and I would get a run in my pantyhose. And I would have to change my pantyhose 4 to 5 times a day. The wardrobe people, they would put 4 or 5 packs of pantyhose in my trailer because they knew that inevitably I would get a run from this Velcro, which was also itchy and uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable.
Do you know what Nick did for me?
I do know what he did for you, but you tell them.
Okay, here's what he did. He came up with a special leg wrap invention.
Yes.
Where he created a leg wrap that used bra hooks.
It was like a bra.
It was like a bra
strap.
Yeah, like a bra strap closure. So that when he hooked it onto my leg, my pantyhose wouldn't run and I wouldn't have to change my pantyhose so often. And it worked.
It was brilliant.
Here's the other thing he did. He knew that I like to really go for it at the holidays. I mean, I like to eat the pies and the mini turkeys and all of the stuffing.
You love some holiday eating.
I love the holiday eating. And I would often come back from the holidays a good full size larger than when I left. So Nick Carbone put like a bra. There were just 3 different settings for if it was post holidays, pre holidays. Maybe I was working out real hard for a movie role. So that it always fit me, because that was the purpose of the Velcro, was that you could kind of Velcro it anywhere. So he made this adjustable leg wrap for me, and we called it the Jenna, and he kept it in my kit. It was so cool. And then you know what? After the office was over, a couple years later, I got a job on an ABC show called Splitting Up Together. And when I walked on the set for the first day, they introduced me to the sound team. And it was Nick. And I am tearing up just thinking about it. There he was again. So the only person who has really ever mic'd me for television is Nick Carbone, and he had saved my special leg wrap.
That is so sweet.
I just love him so much.
I love him too. We've totally become family, and I just loved our crew. I just loved our crew so much. This is completely not related to Nick Carbone, but I have to share it. Jenna wore pantyhose every day. They were in her trailer. The same pantyhose were in my trailer. They were put in my trailer every day starting day 1. I never put them on. I refused to wear
my mind.
I refused to wear pantyhose. And Jenna one day, I mean, it was years into the office.
I remember the day. It was years into filming.
Like seasons upon seasons. And she looked over at me one day and she was like, "You don't have on pantyhose." I was like, "Oh yeah, they put them in my trailer. I don't wear those things. I'm not wearing pantyhose." And she was like, "What the hell? I've been wearing pantyhose for years."
I am such a rule follower that it had never occurred to me that I could go rogue and just not wear
didn't
pantyhose.
put them on. No one said anything. I didn't put them on. No one said anything.
I mean, listen, there were times when I didn't dress the bottom half of my body.
Well, I just explain that because it sounds,
Oh, yes, I should let.
You know.
Yes. So sometimes if I was only seated behind the reception desk, I only dressed the top half of Pam and the bottom half was Uggs and sweatpants.
Yes.
So I did get a break from the pantyhose, but
I never wore them ever.
I can't believe that.
I just kept shoving them aside. I shoved them aside for like 2 years and then they just gave up and stopped putting them in my trailer.
I used to look so forward to our quote unquote winter episodes because they would give me tights, which were way more comfortable than pantyhose. And then after a while, I had to say, stop putting control top pantyhose in my trailer. I don't want to wear control top pantyhose for 12 hours a day.
You and my grandmother,
especially after the holidays.
This is a sentence that could like set up so many conversations for me with Jenna. But Jenna, you and my grandmother are the only 2 people I knew for a period of time that wore pantyhose every day. My grandmother wore pantyhose every day of her life. She always had on pantyhose.
I can't wait to be 75 because I think I'll finally make sense.
You're already there.
I've been a 75-year-old woman since I was born.
Okay, Jenna, I know we're done with fast facts, but I have a Kinsey tidbit.
Oh, what? This is the episode where we became best friends.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, that's kind of a big bit, Angela. That's not a tidbit. That's a big bit.
Is it a big bit, little bit?
Oh, yes.
See what I did there? Do you see what I did there?
I see what you did there. Yes, we should tell this story.
So Jenna and I, up until this point in the office, we had that partition between us.
We've been speaking over the partition.
But now, as we film basketball, we were now sitting next to each other on that bench. It was Jenna, me, and Phyllis sitting on that bench all day next to each other.
For 2 solid days, and a day of filming is about 12 hours.
Yeah.
So 24 solid hours on that bench.
And you say I just kept talking your ear off.
You would not stop talking to me. Yes, the reason we are best friends is because Angela would not stop speaking to me.
Jenna just finally gave up.
You wore me down.
I wore you down.
No, but we told each other our life stories on that bench.
We did.
It was like the
hours.
bench of truth.
It was the bench of
Everything you could possibly want to share.
I will never forget. We were leaving one night. We had taped till really late at night. We'd had a long day, and it was our day 2. So you and I have now talked for
the full 24.
Yeah, 24 hours. And it's late at night, and we had to walk from where the warehouse set was back to our trailers, and it was a little bit of a walk. And we linked arms, arm in arm, and we started doing the Laverne and Shirley song. Shamil, Shamazel.
I remember this.
And we were going up and down, and we were like, we're gonna do it. Get us
I don't know why we were doing this.
Yeah. And I don't know why we were, because we were giddy. We had lost our minds because we'd been in that warehouse for, 24 hours. Unbeknownst to us, quietly walking behind us was Steve Carell. And we turned around and realized he'd watched us do this whole Laverne and Shirley song and dance. And we started laughing because we were embarrassed. And he looked at us and smiled, and he said, you guys, no matter what happens with this show, because we were on the chopping block. Always on the chopping block that first season for sure. And he was like, no matter what happens with the show, this is what you guys will have from it. And he pointed at the two of us, this friendship. And I'll never forget it because he was right. And you say, this is the episode. You have a photo that this is the moment we became best friends.
I have a photo of us sitting on that bench from this episode framed in my office.
Aw,
Yeah.
lady, that's so sweet.
And I have a sense memory of my butt falling asleep.
Oh, my butt fell asleep.
So many times.
My butt fell asleep, and the shoes I was wearing were called Sass.
I remember those shoes.
Hey, these are the shoes you guys that like nuns wear. Well, here's the thing you need to know about Sass shoes. They're incredibly comfortable. So if I was going to be a nun on my feet, I get it. But there was someone in my life that loved Sass shoes and wore them almost every day, and that was my grandmother. Really? Yes. So when I got those shoes, I called her and I said, Grandmother, I'm wearing Sass shoes. And she'll say, oh, you'll love them. You'll love them.
All this story is making me think about is getting some Sass shoes. I love a comfortable shoe.
Well,
I love a comfortable pant. I love a comfortable shoe. I want an elastic waistband.
We've just established that you've been 75 since birth, so I think we need to get you some Sass shoes. Let's do it.
We're going to go to a break. I'm going to start Googling.
Well, folks, you know I have a lot of family in Texas, and I just want you to know, if you travel to Texas, there are vast landscapes, cultures, regions, destinations, activities that allow for an infinite number of different travel experiences.
You can have fun in the sun. Texas has 350 miles of coastline.
That's right. Or if you like more of a rugged vacation, there are campgrounds, hiking trails, state parks, and the food. Can we talk about the food? Tex-Mex and barbecue. There's live music, art museums, cowboy experiences. Come on.
Right now, Travel Texas offers a one-of-the-kind online trip builder that allows users to generate a custom visually led trip matched to their unique interests. So you go in there and you click your interests and it'll say, here's where you want to go in Texas.
Visit traveltexas.com/get-your-own to get the only trip to Texas that matters, yours.
That's traveltexas.com/get-your-own. Whether your resolution is to save money, eat better, or stress less, HelloFresh is here to help you do all three.
Yes, you guys, I love HelloFresh. Jen and I both love it. You know why we love it. And guess what I made the other night? What? It was so delicious. I made their pub-style shepherd's pie.
I've made it.
Yes, it's so good. White cheddar and the thyme mashed potatoes.
I know it very well. It's a family favorite.
Well, you know, Josh normally makes dinner, so this was my turn, and I made this, and he loved it, and I was so happy. I was like, I made a shepherd's pie. I'd never made one before.
It's so good. Everyone, you can say hello to your most delicious year yet with fresh ingredients, chef-crafted recipes, all at a price you'll like, delivered right to your door. Go to hellofresh.com/officeladiesfree and use code officeladiesfree for free breakfast for life.
One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at hellofresh.com/officeladiesfree with code officeladiesfree.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
You know, around New Year's, we all reflect and people really start making lists of what they can do to be their best self for the next year.
Yes, I think, the new year definitely makes you think New Year's resolution. What do I want to change?
New year, new me, that kind of thing.
Yes, but perhaps this year we could be reflecting on what we're already doing right.
Yeah.
And therapy can help you figure out your strengths so that you can ditch this idea that you need some extreme change or this extreme New Year's resolution and just, you can make changes that really stick because they're based on your strengths.
I like that.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/officeladies today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/officeladies. Let's start at the beginning of this episode. Michael enters the office and starts asking if people are ready for the big game.
Oh, this is early days of the office. Michael was super cringy.
He was.
Oh my God. He was so, first of all, he just accosts you. He just walks up and swats you with a newspaper. He's like, bam, whack.
He does, yeah. He would come up to my desk and I would flinch.
Yeah.
First, I want to say, and it is my personal opinion, that basketball is one of the best episodes we ever did.
Really?
I absolutely love it. I think it is so good. One of my favorite scenes in this episode is the one where Dwight follows Michael into his office and tries to convince him that he should be part of the basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
And they get in this exchange that is so wonderful. Michael says, no, not after what happened at that pickup game. And then Dwight is like, I apologized for that. And he's like, I vouched for you. I vouched for you in front of Todd Packer. Now, here's the amazing thing about this show is that we've never met Todd Packer. He's only been mentioned one other time, which is in the pilot,
right,
when he calls in on speakerphone while Michael's having a meeting with Jan.
Right.
He says a bunch of inappropriate stuff, and Michael just shuts him off the speakerphone.
But you can tell in that phone call, Michael covets this guy. He's the coolest guy.
We are not going to meet Todd Packer. I looked it up. Do you know when we finally meet him?
Season
2, sexual harassment episode.
Oh, that's perfect.
Which, yes, I know. But that's far.
Yeah.
That's a while.
Well, I do love this, and I feel like Greg Daniels was so great about this, and with our writer's room, is we just jumped in the middle of these people's lives. We don't tell backstory, and the audience just has to catch up, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love all these little nuggets, and this episode in particular has a lot of little nuggets. You see these dynamics that then play out years later. I love, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but Dwight and Angela's power struggle is the first time you see it. This episode.
All right, so we'll clip.
I think I should be on the team. No.
That's not me being mean, Dwight. That is based on your past behavior. Please. When I let him come to my picnic,
I apologize for that.
I vouched for you. I vouched for you in front of Todd Packer, Dwight.
I love in this scene when Rain looks to the camera. He has a few looks to the camera that are just great, and I feel like this was really fun for all of us, this documentary kind of genre, because we did get to do that. And even in years later, I have jobs, and every once in a while a director will say, Angela, you just looked at camera. You can't look at camera.
I do it still too.
I'm like, oh crap, sorry. For 9 years I would check in with the camera.
It's so true. The camera was a character.
Yeah.
It was another person that we could relate to, the documentarian, quote unquote.
Right.
And so we were encouraged to make them a part of the conversation.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's weird too that take other jobs where you're like,
not-
oh, right, you're not actually filming me.
Yeah.
Go back to pretending like
Yeah,
you're not in the room.
exactly. Okay, I have a note card, and this is sort of like a personal gripe, Jenna, okay?
Oh, you have a gripe.
I know you love a gripe.
I live for a gripe.
Okay, So in this episode, I wear a bun that's like a mid bun. It's in the middle of the back of my head.
Oh,
And who wants bobby pins in the middle of the back of their head
yeah.
all day, like 12-hour days? So I look at women who wear buns differently now.
Because of the number of buns your character had?
Yes, well,
You've had a lot of buns.
I had a lot of buns, but I had such a bad headache by the end of basketball. So I think if you look at me and I have a grumpy face, it's because I've had a bun for 5 days in a row. And I remember going to the hair and makeup trailer after this episode and being like, can we please take a break from a bun? I can't. That hurts. How do women, I don't understand how women who wear buns every day aren't grumpy every day.
Maybe they are. Maybe they haven't put it together, though. Ladies out there, if you are perpetually grumpy and have a bun, we just want to call your attention to the fact that that might be a cause-effect there.
Break the bun.
Break the bun. Hashtag break the bun.
Hashtag break the bun.
Another great scene is when Michael leads Ryan down into the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
There's that great quote, he's managing by walking around.
Oh,
Yes, that would be in his book, How I Manage.
Yeah.
Michael Scott's book, How I Manage. Here's a little trivia. The first time we go down into the warehouse.
Yeah. In this episode, we were filming in Culver City. So those stairs actually were real. They actually existed. We filmed in an actual building that was an old company.
These offices were on the second floor of that building, too.
That's right. And so you go down the stairs to the warehouse, but in years later, they recreated the whole office in a different location on a soundstage, and those stairs still exist.